Hello and welcome to Super League Triathlon here in Munich, and at the end of a week during which so many in the United Kingdom, the Commonwealth and indeed across the globe have been deeply saddened by the passing of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. The Queen's incredible contribution across 70 years will continue to echo across generations, and as such, we begin this race weekend with a moment's silence. A poignant start, and now, just a week after racing on those cobbled streets of London, it's time to line up and to do it all again. Round 2 of the Super League Triathlon Championship Series marks a return to Munich's Olympic precinct. The second stop in 3 consecutive weeks of racing. 40 of the top short course stars in the sport, taking on a new course with new wildcard rivals in the toughest format, the Enduro, as they chase $1.8 million in prize money. Plenty to play for here in round 2 at the Olympiapark.
Being in a Super League race is like being in a fight with a bear.
Intense, high pressured.
It rips you apart.
The fight's real from the start.
It burns your lungs.
Willing to put everything on the line.
The pace and intensity is way higher than any other triathlon discipline.
Oh, there's a crash at the back.
Best athletes in the world.
Winning is addictive. There's no better feeling.
This is what Super League racing is all about.
This is the future of professional triathlon. If you don't see that, then you're not paying attention.
Here we are again, and this time it is the Enduro, the most brutal of Super League formats. No breaks in this one, no recovery. Just swim 300, ride 4Ks and run 1.6, but do that 3 times in a row. 9 individual disciplines, 8 transitions, a pure test of quality under extreme duress, with the team managers in a tactical duel and your rivals looking for any sign of weakness whatsoever. 15 championship points and $20,000 for the win. That is not bad at all, with 3 short shoots, which is a very handy last run shortcut to be won in the opening disciplines. The 90-second elimination rule is going to be taking down athletes from behind as well, with the whole thing going down at a course that is absolutely steeped here in Olympic history, the Munich Olympiapark, the site of the 1972 Munich Olympics.
We're here in Munich for round 2 of the Super League Triathlon 2022 series. It's the Enduro. Swim, bike, run. Swim, bike, run. Swim, bike, run. Continuous, no rest. You've finished the swim. You've run up the hill, you're at your bike, your heart rate is probably the highest it will be. You need to be calm and collective. This isn't about raw speed, raw aggression. This is about controlled aggression. Do you run round the dead turn and then mount or not? All of these things will be going through their mind. Small mistakes, big consequences. You are going onto the cobbles, up a slight hill, flowing fast through transition, dismount and run. At this stage, you have to turn your bike round and put that rear wheel in. You can't throw your helmet into the box. You have to set it up for the next transition. This is a flow. This is a race of tactics. This is a race of calmness. Who's going to be crowned the king and queen of Munich? It'll be the athlete with the most endurance.
We will crown our king in about an hour's time. We'll crown the queen, though, very, very soon. And there are so many contenders for the women's. Cassandra Beaugrand, absolutely amazing. Georgia Taylor-Brown, can she come back? These are the ones to watch for SLT Munich in the women's. If there was any lesson to take from London, it was that the Scorpions have some sting. Cassandra Beaugrand carried some hip soreness into the race at Canary Wharf, but it didn't stop her from finding that extra gear when it counted.
Beaugrand was supreme for Bahrain victorious, but she was made to work for it because Taylor Spivey is back. After a tough 2021 with injury and missing out on Tokyo, one of SLT's most experienced campaigners was in the box seat all day. With Beaugrand not racing Malibu, Spivey's second place ahead of reigning champion Georgia Taylor-Brown means she effectively leads the series. Outside the podium, team tactics were at the forefront. The Scorpion's short shoot was given to Kathia Scher, elevating her into the top 10, while Emma Jeffcoat was sent out to pick up fastest lap points. Sophie Colwell picked up vital fan team points for the Cheetahs with 4th, with Beth Potter and Kate Woff making it 4 Brits in the top 7. But the gaps were big, 70 seconds back to Potter, who has designs on taking the overall championship win. Bad luck for non-Stanford, a broken helmet buckle forcing a DNF, and work to do for the rest, with only a dozen finishing the race. So now we regroup and go again in Munich, where the Enduro will turn up the heat once again.
We say turn up the heat, but I can tell you it is a frosty day here in Munich. My name is Will McLoughlin, alongside me 2018 World Champion Vicky Holland and 4-time Triathlon World Champion, although it was a little bit longer ago than 2018. Chris McCormack is always alongside me as we welcome the Cheetahs out first. They are the team at the bottom end of the standings, but Rachel Klammer, dual Olympian, she is some class in this team. And Miriam Casillas, we're going to see in a second as well. She was fantastic last week.
Yeah, Miriam finished in the top 10 last week as she just comes out there. Alongside her, we're about to see Sophie Caldwell, who was their top finisher last week in 4th place.
Yeah, picked up some bike points too. Look out for her on the bike. And a lot of the athletes have been a bit tender on the bike. Of course, familiarisation yesterday, it was wet and there was probably half a dozen crashes. As we welcome out now the wild card, and that is Laura Lindemann, added to that team. She is there on the left. She comes in for one. She's going to mix up the order.
She'll be a big asset to the team. She was second in the European Championships on the course right around here. She's a big addition to that Cheetahs team.
The Eagles, 4th overall. There is Sarah Roll from Mexico. She found the going very, very tough, and she's joined in this Eagles team. And this is Tim Don's team, who is the reigning champion manager by 3 Brits. Sian Rainsley, who is improving all the time, had a great showing in SLT Arena Games. There is Sophia Green, non-Stanford. We mentioned her just before. Lots of bad luck, but she won here in Munich, the European champs, just a few weeks ago, Vicky.
Yeah, this is an area, a course she really likes, and she mentioned after the race last week in London that she was looking forward to coming here because she likes this format and she likes this course.
Yeah, this format certainly suits some and doesn't suit others. If you're a good swimmer like Taylor Spivey, you can really put time into the pack. She showed us that she is a contender this time around. Hasn't won a round since 2018 Mallorca, but looked likely until Cassandra Beaugrand came over the top. And she's walked straight off, and she doesn't want to be part of the team. There she is back again now. Nat Van Coverdon, the Aussie, Hannah De Vet, and Jeanne Lahair, who... There's an Ed Sheeran concert here tonight. She accidentally bought tickets for last night, and because she couldn't sell it, she went by herself. Not the ideal start.
With about 60,000 other people here.
She doesn't want to waste that money, but let's see if that hurts her today, having a late night listening to Ed Sheeran at the Olympic Stadium. Kate Woff, and there is Beth Potter. Now, Beth Potter knows she has work to do. She's one of the top 5 contenders. She got showing up last week.
Yeah, she podiumed here last year, had a brilliant couple of races at Super League, but last week that first swim really let her down, and her swimming today will be the factor as to whether she comes in right at the pointy end of the racing or not.
Eula Behrens there on the left, didn't race last week. She's the world junior champion from last year. She's the other German, well, not a wild card, she just joins her team, the Sharks, 1 round late, so look out for her on this one. Now it's time for the Scorpions, the top team, and led there by dual Olympic medalist Georgia Taylor-Brown, who came 3rd. There's Kathia Scher, but GTB will want to be the one on the top step of the podium as the reigning champion here.
Without question, Emma Jeffcoat on screen there was great for the team last week, scoring a lot of points. But Georgia Taylor-Brown, she came down from altitude, said she felt a little bit flat in London. Feels a lot better this week, but the conditions are making the entire team nervous. I know Cassandra Beaugrand crashed the bike yesterday on the course, Ricky. She's a little bit nervous going into this, so this is a much different race, the Enduro.
All right, Laura Lindemann, we mentioned, she is going to be looking to mix up the order. She has come on since last time she was an SLT. We caught up with her earlier.
Okay, I'm very excited for the race here in Munich on home soil. I like to race at home in Germany, and yeah, I'm very excited to race for the Cheetahs this weekend. And yeah, hopefully I can earn some good points for the team, and yeah, very much looking forward to it.
Lindemann looking forward to it as we start down here on the pontoon. And just as we start, and you can see the format below, 3 times through, it has started raining here at the Olympiapark. So that first bike and that first run up and down the grass we saw just a second ago is going to be absolutely crucial. Who has got the bike skills to handle it here in the wet? As we said, we've been half a dozen crashes already, but now it is time to get the racing underway. The Enduro Round 2 of Super League Triathlon starts right now. Into the water they go, no false start, so we've saved ourselves from that one that happened last week. And already in the middle of your screen, that is Cassandra Beaugrand leading out the Scorpions. And Macca, in the pontoon draw, you ended up in the middle.
We ended up in the middle. Sophie Caldwell on the far right of screen. She had a great start, always fast off, and we anticipated that, talking about it going into the race. But Cassandra Beaugrand in incredible swimming form at the moment, and the start shows.
Yeah, this is interesting because it's exactly the same as we saw at the start in London last week. The 3 lead swimmers are Sian Rainsley, who is on the far left of screen, just coming in onto Cassandra Beaugrand's feet right now. On the far right of screen, Sophie Caldwell, and of course Beaugrand leading it out. So those 3 were the 3 swim leaders on round 1 last week in London, and once again showing their swimming prowess here in Munich.
This time last year, it was Jess Learmonth, who was still injured, who dominated in the enduro format, or actually it was a equaliser format. She dominated in each of the swims. Now, her fastest swim last year was a 3:42, so she was swimming at 1:14 in the first swim. Cassandra Beaugrand more than capable of that. Let's not forget that there are 3 short shoots on offer, and they will all likely be won because of this format in the opening swim, bike and run. Well, they obviously always are, but instead of the fastest laps will probably be the same. And that means the first person across the mount line at the end of the swim will earn a short shoot, so a short putt for their team that can be allocated to anyone in their team by the team managers. The same thing happens in the bike so after transition, when they run across the mount line, and then at the end of the first run is when they get to the dismount line. So we've seen it change races. It didn't necessarily do that last week, but we've seen that little shortcut change races. And what were the team orders there, Macca, in terms of your Scorpions? Was it Cassandra, go out there and you make sure you win that short shoot first up because you are our class swimmer?
Look, Emma Jeffcoat showed last week that she can put herself in a point-scoring position. A swim strong, she's just on the back of the group there. Looks like Emma's stroke there. But Cassandra is just so fast off the blocks. We're a little nervous with the centre starting position being boxed out. So a lot of the discussion was where Sophie Caldwell would be and where Sian Rainsley would be on either sides of the pontoon. So luckily we've got out well. It's just about racing. The enduro format is first race, and Vicky, you know better than anyone, you've done this format, is just lightning fast. It's about hanging on. The races get progressively slower, but the pain gets progressively worse as the race progresses.
Yeah, it's an absolutely brutal format, and for me, especially the last time I raced this in Jersey last year, the key was swim 1. Swim 1 is where I lost touch with the eventual winner of Jess Learmonth and Georgia Taylor-Brown.
So
they
you
were
were
gone
in it for the first 50 metres.
Yeah, you were there at the pontoon.
And, you know, the race didn't change that much after that point, really. Those 2 got away, and it was the Jess and Georgia show all day long. And it's where someone that like Beth Potter, as we've mentioned a few times now, didn't have a good swim last week, a really disappointing swim by her high standards. And if she has that again on round 1 this week, that could really, really mess up her entire enduro.
Well, the importance also with the rain coming down is getting out the swim fast to put yourself at the front of the bike group, because the people chasing have to take chances, and it's very, very slippery, especially on the top section of the bike course. So the instructions were, if you can move up in this first swim, as you said, it's critical to the overall race, but it sort of amplifies as the race progresses. You don't get caught up in any of the crashes that may occur.
Yeah, Sian Rainsley was involved in a crash just on corner 1 last year. She got tangled up with another athlete who was putting their feet in their shoes and sort of swerved off course a little bit. She'll be really desperate to avoid that this week because that really derailed her race last time.
Out of the water comes Cassandra Beaugrand, followed by Sian Rainsley, and then Sophie Caldwell, and then the second and third of the Scorpions in Georgia Taylor-Brown and Emma Jeffcoat. Short shoot when they get onto the bike and they cross the mount line, and Rainsley beats Beaugrand up the stairs. So Tim Don obviously saying to Sian, if you can get that short shoot, you make sure you hammer it along there. We can see how wet it is out there.
She did tell me last week after the race in London that she was tempted to really hammer the swim and go for that first short shoot. Just fiddling with the buckle a bit, but I think she's probably done enough there.
She's got it.
So the Eagles, a little masterstroke there, steals it from 3 Scorpions. Taylor Brown out ahead of Beau Grant, but the short shoot, and you can see Michael Thompson there, the race director, putting the name of the Eagles up on the board so everybody knows, but it is the Eagles who'll be able to give a short shoot to at least one of their athletes.
Beth Potter.
That's Beth Potter just on the back of that group. Non-Stanford, also another Eagle in that group, having a much better first swim than she did last week. Another athlete who really suffered, not just with bad luck, but because that first swim she did last week wasn't up to her usual standard.
They're very, very tentative on this bike. I know, speaking to a lot of the athletes in the warm-up, they were concerned whether it was going to rain. It was dry all morning. The rain basically fell as the gun went, so it's going to be wet, and chances are going to have to be taken. Georgia Taylor Brown, very, very comfortable in the rain, I guess coming from Leeds, part of the world, is quite well.
Yeah, she's trained in Leeds for a long time now, about a decade, and before that was from Manchester, so she's very used to the wet northern climate that we have in the UK, and I should say it's most of the UK, not just the north of the UK, but she is very, very comfortable in these conditions, and we saw her race exceptionally at the Olympic Games, which was, of course, in wet conditions, and even getting a flat tyre during that as well.
Well, Beau Grant in particular is one of the athletes very, very concerned. We were talking about Sophie Caldwell being very, very strong in these wet conditions. She's doing a lot of criterium racing earlier in the season, felt very comfortable out there, looked great on that course recce. But Cassandra very, very nervous after dropping the bike yesterday.
Yeah, we can see already the difference in cornering there, Sian, being definitely quite a bit more tentative than Georgia Taylor Brown, and the strength of Georgia, not just technically, but out of those corners, means you just can't really afford to give her any time. Don't let her get a gap, because otherwise she might be gone in the same way that we saw Jess Learmonth disappear up the road in this race last year here in Munich.
This is an interesting gap. I know it's a small gap back to Sophie Caldwell, who should get onto Georgia, but she feels comfortable out in front, Georgia. She looks comfortable through the corners. Sian's struggling to hold her wheel.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Sophie come through and almost pop Sian back onto the group here, and I think Sian will probably just gain confidence as she goes through each lap. There's 3 180-degree turns, one of them here on the black carpet, each lap. That's more dead turns than you'd like to have on a course like this with the weather that we're experiencing today. So providing that they don't crash, they will hopefully gain confidence each time they go round.
Beau Grant already 22 seconds back after one lap. That shows the nervousness she's come on this bike.
Wow, was that the drop? 22, and Georgia Taylor Brown pushing it at the front, even telling them the motorbike to give her a little bit more space, because obviously you want to be able to sight all these corners correctly. But also I saw Non-Stanford there having trouble getting her foot in her shoes after the first lap.
Right at the end of lap 1 and still didn't have her feet in her shoes. So there's not much time, there's not long straights here, and obviously with the corners you do want to have your feet safely planted in your shoes. It just allows you to feel more grounded to the bike, but if you haven't had time to do it and you've been racing to catch the back of the pack, then you take any opportunity that you can get, really.
Yeah, Cassandra Beau Grant running around there. She came out of the water first, and she crossed the last timing mat second last. So maybe she's had a moment there.
You've got to wonder if something has happened there that we didn't catch on camera, whether that was in transition or actually early on the bike, whether there was possibly another crash there.
Yeah, so our championship leader, currently second last, and now she is in fact drops to last position overall. Maybe she has a mechanical issue. We'll try and chase that up with Annie Emerson, who is on the ground, and find out exactly what's happened to Cassandra Beau Grant. But that throws the race wide open, and the Scorpions, the Bahrain Victoria Scorpions team manager, is extremely upset. But we're going to head down to Annie right now as we see the entire field come around the bottom end of the course. We'll go down to Annie Emerson.
MG, Georgia Taylor Brown out in front, but Cassandra Beau Grant is gone.
Yeah, it looks like it. We were concerned as soon as it went wet. We pretty well knew that it was not going to happen for her, and now she's going to get tailed off, and unfortunately she'll be dropped and cut. 90-second rules in play, and that's the end of the game for her. Sadly, because she did do a great performance last week, this week not so.
Are you surprised by the gap that GTB's already got over second place?
Yes, because this girl can handle a bicycle. This is what they're used to. and they'll really do well. And Emma Jeffcoat having a great ride, Kathithia having a great ride as well. So bike handling is a big part of today.
And do you think that little crash that Cassandra Beaugrand had yesterday has really set her back?
You've had a few falls in your time, and it's hard to come back. She didn't have the time to get back in and familiarise yesterday. So, yeah, the race is done.
OK, great stuff. Good luck for the rest of the race.
Michael Gilliam, assistant manager there of the Bahrain Victoria Scorpions, while the manager sits in the commentary box with us. And I think, you know, strong words, but I think he's correct.
Yeah, hopefully we can use Cassandra to chase some points on the run, if he can communicate to her and she's not lost it too much. She was very, very nervous all morning, talking only about the rain, so it's not really the right thing to focus on pre-race.
Yeah, it's brutal when you do have a crash just the day before a race because there's no time. There's absolutely no time to get your head back in the game. And when it's wet like it is today, we're just seeing on the leaderboard there, she's now dropped down to 45
Lost another 20 seconds on that last lap alone.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, Macca. The best thing now might be to communicate to her, just take the rest of this bike easy without getting eliminated and do an absolutely blinding first lap on the run. And that might give her some points for the team.
Well, speaking of points for the team, Georgia Taylor-Brown, with this now on the third lap of the bike, has got the bike short shoot and the bike, well, fastest lap points probably in the bag. She's having an absolutely immense ride at the front, the 2021 reigning champion, and all the way through the 2021 series, she was behind Jess Limont, who was so good here in Munich. But this time, she has clear air ahead of her and clear air behind as well. And she wouldn't have enjoyed that third place last week. She didn't feel, as we said, she didn't feel good about it. And whilst she's having a great ride, Verena Steinhaus has actually got the fastest lap, but Georgia Taylor-Brown is just doing everything right, Macca.
Yeah, well, she wants to win the series. She's made that clear. She was disappointed last week with, you know, on paper with Cassandra Beaugrand not racing next week in Malibu. She's sitting second on the overall behind Taylor Spivey, and she wants redemption this week. She feels a lot better after coming down from altitude and looks amazing. Great transition.
I think this format's really going to suit Georgia. I know that when she went to altitude, her focus was really on doing a really good aerobic block of training, as we see her do a very smooth reversal of her bike into the rack there. So she set that up perfectly so that when she comes round again, it's ready to go. But her altitude block this year was really about trying altitude for the first time and trying to get a good hit of aerobic endurance put in. She hasn't done speed work, so that will come as she goes through the series. But today, that endurance is going to show.
Georgia Taylor-Brown picks up the bike short shoot for the Scorpions. So the question now is, who gets it? I'd say Cassandra Beaugrand's probably out of the running, but Emma Jeffcoat is right in there, and Kathia Scher, the 21-year-old who's just turning at the bottom of the course now, is in a little group too, so that could really help. But they're already very strung out, considering we're just heading on to the third of 9 disciplines, and already 54 seconds or more cover the field, with Beaugrand nowhere to be seen still. So she's going to be cut sooner rather than later, as Hannah De Vet of the Rhinos turns at the bottom, but it's a lonely place to be at the back.
There's basically Georgia up front and then everybody else in a long string of people coming through, and it wasn't bunched up very tightly at all. Again, I think that's largely due to the conditions, and we're just seeing Cassandra come in, and I'm not sure she's made the cut, but we'll find out when she goes to cross the mount line.
I think MG there was saying, you run this fastest run lap. You absolutely nail this lap and pick up those 18 points, which can be so crucial in the team's race. And there's $320,000 on the line for the teams. And there are 8, 6 and 4 points on offer for the fastest swim, bike and run of the day in Stage 1 and Stage 2. So those points are pretty crucial when you consider that the overall win, which at the moment is already in Georgia Taylor-Brown's back pocket, is worth 15. So if you can pick up points in the swim and the bike, as Emma Jeffcoat did last week, that's the difference between the Scorpions sitting on top on 100 points and the Sharks sitting on, say, 78, which is what they were on. Did a fantastic job, and Cassandra Beaugrand will go out there and do what she does and probably pick up the fastest run lap, but she'll do it from nearly a minute behind.
She looks good at the moment, and I do think she took on that information from MG there, your assistant manager, Macca, and I think she went out of transition with purpose.
Look, I think Georgia Taylor-Brown may post the fastest run split. She looks very, very controlled, moving around those dead turns a lot quicker than the others. And she's got that, she's a front racer. She's like a Jess Limont. She likes to be out in front, likes to control the pace, and I think she gets more and more comfortable. And the great thing with Georgia is that she's got such a strong swim. You're not looking... She can continue to extend the lead as she extends after this run.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see people pull back to her too easily now. This course doesn't really suit groups either, as we're just seeing what's looking like to be a small group form here with Sophie Colwell, Spivey running through there now into second place. Sian Rainsley hanging in for a brilliant result so far today, having obviously been so disappointed in London after that crash early on, and Beth Potter just trying to get into contact with them. That'll be vital for her to go in the water with those three girls who all swim incredibly well. She will need to be with them entering the water for the second swim of this Enduro.
Emma Jeffcoat just off the back of that group, but Kathy Ashar is right in the middle of it too, so she could be the beneficiary of the short shoot again, with Cassandra Beaugrand all the way at the back and Georgia Taylor Brown all the way at the front, because every spot that you go up, thanks to the short shoot, is an extra point in the pocket of the team's race. And at the moment, the Scorpions have already picked up 43 for the day. The Sharks have picked up 32. We're going to head back down to Annie Emerson right now, who's out in the rain, bringing us an update from the black carpet.
Wow, Tim, GTB in a class of her own, but Sian Rainsley from Team Eagle is also having a very good start to this Enduro event.
Yeah, Sian Rainsley's having a great race. Last weekend she had a bit of bad luck. She really wanted to put that behind her. Georgia Taylor Brown is fantastic at the moment. It'd be interesting to see if she does a solo the whole race, but if those girls can work. They'll be trying to drop Beth Potter as well in the swim, because she's a weapon.
Great stuff, Tim. Thank you.
Tim Don, manager of the Eagles, and they've only picked up 29 points so far, so they've dropped into fourth position, the Eagles at the moment, as the gear goes on. There's so much to remember in an enduro race in terms of what gear you need next, which way to rack your bike, where the short shoot is. It's quite it's a thinking woman's race.
And refining your transitions. You're putting your swim caps on whilst running.
It's incredibly hard. I was just going to say that, trying to run downhill. They are coming down a hill at the moment. Put your hat and your goggles on whilst you're sort of breathing very, very heavily is really difficult.
GTB got the ponytail out the back, something we don't usually see, and off come the shoes, and of course they don't go in the box because we're going to need them again twice. Some of them have got 2 or 3 pairs of shoes, they can do that, but some of them are just going to use the same shoes each time.
Yeah, we saw Jess Learmonth have a different pair of shoes every race she did, every stage she did last year. Not everyone had 3 pairs, so maybe that was an advantage that other athletes have taken heed of.
Look, as Tim said, this will be a big second swim for this group. You've got, Beth Potter in this group with Spivey, Caldwell and Rainsley. They really need to push this swim.
So the option to go down the steps is usually taken by the smarter athletes. We'll see the men go down the grass because they don't tend to think too much about that kind of stuff. Well, testosterone gets in the way.
Yeah, last year a lot of us did use the grass, men and women, but it was a dry day. This time that grass is going to be so slippy, so I wouldn't be surprised to see, well, I say it, a lot of the girls have gone gung-ho down the grass there, and a smart move by Beth Potter, because she knows the 3 girls that are with her in this pack are all exceptional swimmers, and so she needed to be in the water in front of them.
They have to swim around her now, which over 300 metres allows her, or gives her more...
Oh, down goes Kathy Asher, but she's straight up again, and in the background you saw Cassandra Beaugrand. She hit that run split with a 2:38. Georgia Taylor Brown was the second quickest in that run with a 2:46. What a run by Cassandra Beaugrand. She could indeed pick up the fastest swim and the fastest run splits if she has a great swim. Well, she's had a great swim already, so she leads the swim split.
Yeah, she's here, and she's going back in for the swim.
Yep. And she's going to have clear water again, and she could pick up 16 points for her team, which is more than she'd get for the overall win. But she goes down the steps.
We discussed that yesterday, what was quicker, going down the grass or the steps, and the steps gave firm grounding. They were worried that with the rain it'd be very slippery as it flattened out. So I'm glad to see the girls taking the stairs. I think as the race progresses and you get more fatigued, that grass side may have more accidents.
Especially when we come to the men's side, if some of the women have been running down that, it's going to get slicker, a bit muddier, so it's going to be even harder for the men to go down that grassy bank than it is for the women.
So heading into the swim, there is 75 seconds covering the field with Beaugrand at the back. And that means that we're going to start seeing, if the pace stays on at the front, which we expect it to, we're going to start seeing eliminations, and it's all going to be because of this woman, the dual Olympic medalist, Georgia Taylor-Brown, who holds the title of reigning champion and holds about 16 seconds over Potter. Spivey, who's second overall at the moment. Sophie Caldwell, who finished fourth last weekend. And Sian Rainsley, who actually got eliminated last weekend and finished in 13th position and is having a much better race. Ahead of Jean Lahair, who, well, you can go to Ed Sheeran on Saturday and you can race on Sunday and be in 6th position for the Rhinos. No problem at all.
She's living on the high of having seen Ed Sheeran perform last night. So she's,
which you also have tickets to tonight, I believe.
I believe, as do you.
Indeed.
So she's got Ed Sheeran songs going round in her head, I'm sure.
All right, they turn the second buoy and they head for home in the 300-metre swim. Second time, you can see at the bottom, we've done one swim, bike and run. We've got 2 more to go.
So all 3, as Macca just said there, have gone past Beth Potter, which is why it was so important for her to get in the water in front of them. This gives her the best possible chance of holding on to their toes. But as we see another Rhino coming through, I'm not sure if that's Jean Lahair or maybe Natalie Van Coverdon. Oh, no, it's Jean Lahair, absolutely right, yeah. And she's not too far behind Beth Potter now as well. So whether Beth manages to hold on for the final 100 metres or so of this swim will be vital for the next stage.
So the short shoots have been run and won. The Eagles will have one and the Scorpions will have one. The Scorpions already have picked up 50 points as it stands to extend their lead at the top from the Sharks, the Cheetahs and the Rhinos, who've picked up 27, 41 and 23 apiece. The Eagles have only picked up 23 as well. So the Scorpions sitting pretty, and most of it is due to Georgia Taylor-Brown, who is enjoying these conditions and showing us how important confidence and bike handling skills are on the bike. And someone's way off to the right there. That's Potter, who's lost her feet.
Yeah, so she's drifted off the feet of Sian Rainsley at the back of that three girls who are in that chase pack. But she's also not just drifted off, she seems to be slightly offline as well. So that's going to really hinder her ability. She's going to have to absolutely smash through transition here, and with her running ability she could do that.
We really saw last year how important the fatigued swims are in these, because you don't normally swim fatigue. You get your swim out of the way first, but most fatigue swims are about 5 seconds per 100 slower than a normal swim, and we saw Jess Learmonth last year put 10 to 15 seconds into her competitors by having great second and third swims. And this is where Beth Potter has lost this group, and she probably will not, unless she can run her way back up to them in this stage, she won't see them again.
That was done by Taylor Spivey, who went to the front of that swim group and really applied the pace. I thought Sophie Caldwell would do that front running in the swim, but it was Taylor Spivey who wants to close this gap to Georgia Taylor-Brown and recognise the danger in Beth Potter being so close. But Beth will be swept up in the second group behind this group and maybe advantaged by them moving up.
We will be all locked up heading into Malibu if indeed Spivey can finish second behind Taylor-Brown, because she finished one spot up on her last week, and Cassandra Beaugrand will drop right out of the standings for the overall. Transition.
Yeah, Taylor was so good last week, so clinical at so many of the tactical elements of racing. She was fantastic through transition, and what she's done again there today in that second swim, putting herself right at the front of the race and speeding out of transition with just 2 other girls with her now. She's really whittling down the competitors for the podium. So Cassandra Beaugrand has overtaken Sarah Rowell and Natalie Van Coverdon in that swim, so not a bad effort from her. She's still hanging in there. She hasn't yet been eliminated, but we haven't got a time check because they haven't come through the transition zone yet.
Georgia haven't done her shoes up yet, just getting out, finding a pace. There's Cassandra there. On screen.
Michael Gilliam telling Cassandra Beaugrand she has indeed picked up the fastest run. She also has the fastest swim. So she's doing her job for the team, but she's going to need a supreme bike to find herself better than anywhere near mid-pack after a tough bike before that, and jumping on the bike there before the turnaround point, which was an interesting choice. I think that was Natalie Van Coverdon.
That was Natalie Van Coverdon, and not having the best time there trying to do it either. You can see that's how it can go so wrong, these transitions. Making that decision when to get on your bike, whether it's straight after you get over that line, or whether when you go around the corner.
All right, we're going to head back down to Annie Emerson, and here's Ronnie Schildknecht, who's the Rhinos team manager.
Ronnie, a pretty good start to Munich for you with a brilliant performance from Taylor Spivey so far.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. She has another great race. She catched up on the run, and actually she caught up almost to GTB, but GTB is really strong. But Taylor once again shows a great race.
A lot of team tactics going on though with the Scorpions, because it looks like Cassandra Beaugrand is out of the race. She's still in the race, but she's not going to contest. But she's going for the run points and the swim points.
Yeah, I mean Cassandra's sorry for her. Her bike, she crashed on the bike, and yeah, but she tries to go the fastest run. So, yeah, that's good for the Scorpions.
Good luck for the rest of the race, Ronnie.
Thanks.
Well, there you go. Ronnie has obviously picked up some information that there was an issue with Cassandra. We thought maybe it was just a tentativeness.
Crash yesterday.
Yeah,
potentially.
Yeah, potentially.
But looking at it, Taylor Spivey is just aggressive in the swim. She's isolated herself on the bike. When I say isolated herself, on the pursuit after Georgia Taylor Brown. She's solo at 3 seconds in front of Sophie Caldwell. She's in racing mode, Taylor Spivey. I think she thinks she can win this series, and this will be a reversing. If the results stay the same, they'll be equal on points.
They'll be tied.
That's true, but Taylor Spivey, don't forget, about 5 or 6 minutes ago, before the swim, she was 16.5 seconds, and now it's 9.5 seconds, and Caldwell and Rainsley have managed to tag onto the back again of Taylor Spivey, and Beth Potter is nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, they've just made it back onto her. It looked like when they went around that first U-turn that Taylor had just taken some time out. She went around technically fantastically. There was a gap back for Sophie and to Sian, but they've managed to get on the back now, which is really smart by them, because Taylor is the gun rider at the moment that they need to be with.
And it's the mindset of Taylor. She's prepared to sit on the front in the swim. She's not worried about feet. She's prepared to take the work and run with it. And same on the bike. She's not looking for any help. She's prepared to put her head down and go for it.
So there's Potter coming through as well. She's 26 seconds down, which is 13 down on that group.
Confirmation that the Eagles short shoot will go to non-Stanford. So Stanford right now sitting in 6th position. She could potentially leapfrog Potter, but importantly she has a group behind her of about 5 women that she could gap at the back end. So that comes into play for the team points very much. And now Chris McCormack, he still has time to react to that now, because your Scorpions, you haven't chosen yet, have you?
I'm texting them right now, asking where to go. I'm trying to think whether
He's multitasking next to us here.
Yeah.
Surely.
It's such a long way out, you know, this enduro format. It's very, very difficult. We're going to allocate the short shoot soon, and there's so much more racing to happen. So it's a difficult call, but it's a call that has to be made. And looking at it on screen, Emma Jeffcoat's right in the mix there.
Yeah.
But her next run may drift her back, and Kathia Scher may move through. So
I think we've just seen something new for Super League, that there's been a lapping. Jules Behrens has been lapped by Georgia Taylor Brown. She was right on the bubble anyway, as you can see from the times, but there is the elimination flag. You get lapped, you are done. That's the first elimination of the day. And Jules Behrens, the 2021 World Junior Champion, arrives in Super League and gets an immediate lesson in the pace of this racing.
It's a brutal sort of initiation to this level of racing to have to be here today, but I'm sure as someone who's such a young athlete, still only 19 years of age, that she'll be learning fast on the job, and I wouldn't be surprised to see her improve round on round.
Hello and welcome.
Yeah.
Now you're done. You're finished now, and look at the other athletes there on the bubble. Hunter Vet, Sarah Roll, and they're getting lapped now. So regardless of the 90-second rule, they get lapped, they'll be done. And Georgia Taylor Brown is absolutely seen to the rest of this field, as there are some, well, I guess more dry patches forming and the weather lifting somewhat. So we could see some real pace in the men's race, which comes up in about 40 minutes' time.
She just looks more and more confident, I think, as she goes on, and I do think the athletes who are able to ride these corners well will find that they do feel more and more confident with every lap, every corner they go around, and she's taking them so well, so much better than with
Look at that, and Tobin in half the pace. She'll be eliminated now, as will Sarah Roll, Hannah De Vet close to it, Sophia Green close to it, and Laura Lindemann is 50 seconds back as well. So, I mean, we had some confidence. There was a discussion, and you can see it on the Instagram, between yourself and Annie Emerson, and you were like, Laura who?
There you go, Annie.
Yep.
There you go.
Laura Lindemann is an incredibly talented, strong athlete, but
Indeed.
she hasn't raced much Super League. She's only ever raced once before, back in Jersey, I think, in 2017. As Georgia racks her bike in reverse again, very smoothly done. She knows exactly what to do. She's got time as well, so she can make those little manoeuvres that make it easier for her to come round next time.
There's been a change of heart from Tim Don, who initially nominated non-Stanford, and he's changed his mind and he's going to give it to Sian Rainsley, which I thought was the right choice when you look at the three of them together at the front. There could be a podium in the offing for Rainsley, who will now find out, because it's written on the short shoot board there, that she has the short shoot, which will be taken on the first lap of the final run. So she has that amount of shortcut, which isn't much, but it's enough when you're in a group like that to know that you have a tiny advantage. In the splits, well, they're getting wider and wider, and a lot of these athletes not racking their bikes in backwards as well. You can see that from the couple of cheaters there at the front. They just cost them a little bit more time because the helmet has to go in the box. That means it has to come out of the box again. Just these things count, and the more experienced athletes, well, they know what they need to do. Jeff Coate back in the mix as well after initially losing this group, and Kathy Asher behind Kate Woff and the two Sharks, and there is Laura Lindemann.
And maybe talking too early. Beth Potter didn't look too good. She's usually very, very fast through transition. She drifted back. She wasn't at the front of the group where she tends to position herself coming into transition. She may be a little rattled by being swallowed up by that other group and just off that front group of Caldwell, Spivey and Rainsley.
I think she probably had to go really hard to get herself in a position to maybe be on the back of that group, and she gave absolutely everything on that last run and also on that swim to try and put herself in a position to be with that group of three. It hasn't paid off at this point, and I wonder if she's paying for that a little bit now.
With Rainsley getting the short shoot, it's imperative that she sticks close to Taylor Spivey now. She can't let the gap open, be isolated after this second swim. She needs to stay in that group of three.
Hannah de Vet, the Belgian, she will take an early shower as well, as we see the yellow flag coming out more and more. But how about Georgia Taylor-Brown? A little bit like Formula One, we see the track dry a little bit. She set the fastest bike lap in the second bike fatigued, because obviously the conditions are getting a little bit better, and she really hit it hard there with an average pace of 40.5 across this course, which has some dead turns in it, so it just shows you how much power she has.
And that's exactly what Sian Rainsley didn't want to see happen, was that gap open up. She gets isolated from both Caldwell and Taylor Spivey. Even though she has the short shoot, she's got to take that on the last run. Her swim, she's going to get isolated. She's going to miss that bike group, and she could be swallowed up in the second group. Yeah, it's a points chase, but if we're looking to get that podium position, it may be disappearing up the road.
Well, we know how good a swimmer Sian is. She was second out the water behind only Beaugrand at the beginning of this swim. She was third out of the water in London. So she does have a possibility that she might be able to swim herself closer to that group, but I'm not sure she's going to be able to get on with the likes of Spivey and Caldwell in front of her.
And I saw that you were on the WhatsApp messages, and I can see that you texted down to MG, put it up, give it to Kathy Asher, and I mean, there was no question, was there? Beaugrand at the back, she's done the job for the team. Taylor Brown at the front. It was Jeff Coate or Cher.
Jeff Coate or Cher. Emma's run hasn't been too good. She's had a bit of a run injury. It's why we had her chasing points last week in London and again this week. She may drift back. She was concerned about this second run, where Cher is a lot quicker through the run, and she's a lot younger, so I think she can benefit from the short shoot and try and get the points chase.
5 eliminations so far, and one of those is Cassandra Beaugrand. So she has fallen foul of the elimination flag as well, as has Jula Berens, Sarah Roll, Natalie Van Kovenen, Hannah de Vet, and it is Sophia Green, who is on the bubble at the moment. Not quite at risk yet, but getting close. And Kathy Asher, well, perhaps the short shoot will save her from elimination as well, as the pace just continues to rise from Georgia Taylor-Brown, who is really laying down a marker now to show that she is the form athlete in this championship series. She will have designs on defending her title. The only other person to do that, I think, is Vincent Louis. And Taylor-Brown just seems to be getting better and better as this race goes on.
She's extended that lead over 30 seconds now, so she's doing it all on her own and taking time out of the other athletes with every lap that goes by. And you can see now Taylor Spivey and Sophie Caldwell still very much together, but Taylor, I would say, looks very in control, very calm in her face. Sophie may be exhibiting a little bit more stress and strain. Just as I say that, of course, Sophie then nips up the inside of Taylor as they go around that U-turn. But those two I expect to see locked in battle at least until we get to the final run now.
If we finish as it stands right now, Georgia Taylor-Brown will lead the championship series from Taylor Spivey. Sophie Caldwell will move up a place. Beth Potter will move up a place. Verena Steinhauser, who currently is in 6th position, will move up 3. Sian Rainsley will move up 7. while Cassandra Beaugrand will fall from 1st to 7th heading into Malibu, which she won't be at, so she'll drop right out of the proceedings as we head into the final swim of the day. And Taylor Brown, well, that sluggishness from altitude, that's gone.
Well and truly gone.
She looks good, doesn't she?
The other big losers and winners, Non-Stanford will move up 5 positions. Jean Leher will move up 4. Kathy Asher will drop 5 positions, as will Natalie Van Koveren. And down the stairs, and why not go down the stairs when you've got this kind of a gap? No need to risk yourself and into the water for the last time. Goes GTB.
She doesn't have to risk anything at this point. She's got enough time, the luxury of time, to just do small things well through transition. And that was Sian Raisey going through, having nearly been caught, it looked like by Verena Steinhauser of that big chase pack. So Sian needs to put in a big swim here to distance herself again, or potentially let herself get swallowed in and use that short shoot that she's got. Whether that's a tactical decision that she'll take, I guess we'll find out soon enough.
It's not long enough, that short shoot, to let yourself get swallowed up by this chasing pack. Look at them all. Cheetahs and eagles and rhinos running down the thing. There's a shark in there as well. Steinhauser there. Stanford, Potter as well.
Clammer right at the back.
Yeah,
of that
Clammer,
pack as
who's
well.
come up to that group. So
yeah, she
well
was
done
right,
her.
She was right at the back of that group when they went through transition at the end of this last swim, but she's moved herself through really nicely there.
Miriam Garcia not having the race she had last week. And there is Kate Woff, who's dropped back significantly alongside Kathia Scher, and Jeff Coate all by herself at the back. And that gap now up to about 75 seconds.
Such a great team racer, Emma Jeffcoat. She's stayed committed all day. Kathia Scher's moved past her in the run, and that's probably why MG has handed off the short shoot, because there's points to be had. Emma's not running the best, but it's not going to quit.
Hang on, are you saying that you're letting MG make the decisions?
No, I give him recommendations, but you know MG.
Yeah, I do. He does exactly what he wants to do. And speaking of men who do exactly what they want to do, Annie Emerson right now is down on the black carpet with the Cheetahs assistant manager Michael Buchek.
Michael, this has been a really good start for the Cheetahs, hasn't it? Sophie Colwell having the race of her life, one better than last week. She's on the podium at the moment, but talk us through what's happening to Laura Lindemann.
Yeah, so Sophie, well, I start with the Sophie, amazing race. Like I told her, stay calm. You got her. She's just going very nice, steady, like every single discipline. She's just very doing her own, what she does the best. Laura has a little bit crash. She crashed with the Verna. They just twist their bikes. Luckily, we managed to the twisted bag, so the bike is fine, so Laura can continue. Also, the perfect race for all the girls. They're just staying together. They're really way of the elimination. So great run for the Cheetahs, definitely.
But a tough course, isn't it? I mean, it's wet out there. It's dangerous. It's slippery. We've already seen a number of eliminations.
Yeah. I mean, like this is the weather is the same for everyone. A little bit wet out there. The girls have to take the really cautious on the course, on the corners especially. So yeah, great.
Michael Buchek there talking to actually his team manager, Annie Emerson, but in reality, the team managers of the Cheetahs are the fans. So if you have become one of the fan team managers, you're making the decisions out there, everything from who gets the short shoot, if indeed you ever get one, to where you are on the pontoon and every other element of racing. It's something that is really unique to Super League Triathlon, and every one of the managers' names are also printed on each of the kits out there as well. In terms of the run laps, I can confirm that Cassandra Beaugrand picks up the full 8 points for the team for the fastest run lap of the day. Georgia Taylor-Brown picked up the second 2, and the third was Beth Potter. So the cream really rising to the top on the run and picking up points for the Scorpions, who have now, let me have a look, has picked up, now 152 points. And so you're 53 ahead of the Sharks, with Potter picking up those 4 points for the run. So
interesting in this swim, Taylor Spivey, just getting back to Georgia Taylor-Brown, very, very comfortable out in front, but Taylor Spivey opting to go in the water, knowing Sophie Caldwell's a fantastic swimmer, now starting to think of the overall. I think she's going to let Sophie do all the swim, which is not what happened in the second swim. She's just sat on the feet, conserving energy, and looking probably for a run shootout against Sophie Caldwell to get that second position. I think Georgia Taylor-Brown's going to be very, very difficult to pull back from here unless she makes a mistake.
That was a little one, as Darren Wheeler with the camera got a little bit wet. You can see him shaking it off there. He doesn't mind that too much.
I do think these two have pulled back a little bit of time, though. It was 30 seconds when we saw them before, so we'll get a time check when they go through transition. But you're absolutely right, Chris. The way that Taylor has raced, again, very smart. She did all the work on the second round because she knew there was a chance that they could break that gap to Potter, and they managed to do that on this third swim. Let Sophie do the work. Sophie's another fantastic swimmer, and then the fight will come on later on.
MG barking instructions to his charge, Taylor Brown, who knows exactly what she needs to do. Little slip there. But this match race for second position between Caldwell and Spivey is absolutely key, because Caldwell not attending in Malibu. Spivey needing to know that she needs to take that second if she is, to make sure there's not too much of a gap. And then there's a big group, Spivey and Caldwell, the two of them. You can see the splits back to Rainsley, who's just gapped Stanford. Clammers in there, Steinhauser, Lindemann, Jean Leher, and then 4 seconds back to Potter is your top 10.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Sian Rainsley only 4 seconds ahead of Non Stanford, and I think they're pretty much coming out of transition together. In fact, Non's overtaken Sian through transition there. So Sian needs to play this clever now. She knows she's got a short shoot to take, but she can't afford to lose any time. And really, they don't want this pack becoming huge, because someone like a Beth Potter obviously runs so fantastically well that even a short shoot isn't probably going to be enough to hold her off.
Stanford was great there mounting the bike, and already just put a little gap into Rainsley, who took a little bit longer. So much time to be lost there if you don't get that 100% right, and it's quite heartening to see for any age group athletes that even if you're a pro in the wet, it doesn't always go to plan.
Everyone can make mistakes, come on.
Except for Georgia Taylor Brown,
who's made none today so far.
Doing none.
Let's not jinx her or anything, but so far today she's been pretty immaculate in the way she's raced this, and at times having to tell that motorbike to actually get out of her way because it's not going fast enough. So she's had a brilliant race so far. She's done everything very clinically, exactly the way we spoke about Taylor Spivey last week, and in fact this week. So clinical, not made any mistakes, and I think this format does really suit her, because with the triple mix, everything kind of happens, you get to reset after each round, so things can be a bit more congested, whereas she was able to get out there on her own, do her own thing, and just enjoy racing the way she likes to from the front.
Just as she came around the bottom of the course and nearly hit the A-frame there, it just reminded me of Jersey last year. Remember when she lost...
Another enduro format.
So maybe she's learnt from
yes, do not hit the A-frame. What a race of calamities that was for Georgia Taylor Brown, who still ended up finishing second, did a couple of extra loops, gave herself a short shoot, didn't take the short shoot, then took it again at the end. I can confirm all the fastest laps. The top 3 for the swim was Bo Grant, who'll take 18 points. Rainsley and Caldwell, so shared between 3 teams there. The bike laps, Georgia Taylor Brown actually set the top 2 and the 4th, but the 3 top athletes were Taylor Brown, Steinhauser and Jeffcoat, who'll pick up some for her team as well. And then in the run laps, it was Bo Grant, Taylor Brown, Potter. So the lion's share of the discipline points again for the Scorpions. And we'll head down in a second and talk to Michael Gilliam, who'll be very happy and even more cocky than he usually is. But the gap's now, well, 0.2 of a second between Caldwell and Spivey. Cannot wait to see that run between those two. You'd have to back Spivey for that one. We head down now to Annie Emerson with MG.
A truly stunning performance from GTB, quite obviously.
Yes.
MG. But talk us through the rest of the team. Cassandra Beaugrand is out, and the other 2 are right at the back of the field.
Yeah, they're at the back end of the field. We really have no option at this point in time. Kat's been given the short shoot. She'll take that as the start of the run. Hopefully we're just going for these points now. We're trying to minimise our losses. We will take the overall, but we're not going to fare well in the points tally for the weekend.
But tactics are, playing so hard in this racing at the moment with Cassandra Beaugrand as well.
Well, when you get this in the best racing in the world, the fastest racing in the world, then those are the sort of things that happens. And unfortunately, Kat's got work to do. Cassandra's going to have to do some work in certain aspects of her bike riding and get her confidence back. That's going to have to happen between now. She won't go to Malibu. We'll lose her at Malibu, but hopefully we have her back for Toulouse in France.
Great stuff. Thanks, MG.
I don't think MG's 100% up on how good the splits have been for the Scorpions.
I just text him that to see.
Hey, mate, you've got heaps.
Mate, we've got heaps of points. Keep
the
doing
top
what we're
2 in
doing.
the run, took the top and the 3rd place in the bike, and then you took the top place in the swim. So that was a lot to do with Cassandra Beaugrand. And it's funny because you've given Kathy a share the short shoot, She might not make it. She is on the bubble of the 90-second rule, so she might get eliminated before she has a chance to take the short shoot. And it'll be because of Georgia Taylor-Brown, her teammate, who is too fast.
Need to get a message to Georgia to just hold off. Just give it 10 seconds. Let her come through.
So much quality in the top of this racing. And as Michael Gilliam said, it's the fastest racing in the world. It's the most technical racing in the world. There is so many rules when it comes to what the athletes have to remember.
She's about to lap out her teammates.
Is that Cher at the back?
Jeff Coat and Cher in the front of her, just as I saw them go around that dead turn as GTB was coming in. So hopefully she sits back a little bit and allows our teammates to score.
Well, Cher only has one shoe on while she's cycling at the moment, so that doesn't help either. But you saw that clock ticking. That starts as soon as the leader goes across the line, and anyone who doesn't make it across that same line by 90 seconds is done. That also includes athletes that get lapped, because this is a particularly tight and twisty course, and athletes can get lapped before the 90-second rule takes them out. As around, and you just see how much apex speed Taylor-Brown has compared to the other less confident athletes, I suppose you would say, but these two have no problem either, and they are going to go head-to-head on this run, and we're going to find out whether Taylor Spivey has it left in the tank.
Yeah, these two did take out a good chunk of time from Georgia on that final swim. It was down to under 20 seconds from 30 when they entered the water, but that time's being eked out again by Georgia now as she just flies around this course. She's so confident on this course now, and again, I don't want to speak too soon, but she's ridden this course impeccably so far.
Did you just put the mockers on her?
I hope not. I'll be in trouble. I'll be in a lot of trouble if I've done that.
Well, we've all done that about 12 times, because there's not many superlatives that you can leave out when you talk about Georgia Taylor-Brown's performance today. Has just been superb and organised, and also just controlled. She's given herself early the ability to control her efforts throughout, and has never looked, apart from the time she nearly took Michael Thompson out on the bike, like she was in any danger whatsoever. So she can rack front in this time, not going to need the bike anymore. She knows that. And it's a last 1.6 kilometre run between her and $20,000 and the lead as we head into round 3 in Malibu next weekend. Nice and controlled, enough time to have a smile and a chat to MG as well.
I think she might have made a quick joke there as well.
Jeff Coat, well, she's been eliminated.
21 seconds on that last lap, so Emma's eliminated. So right choice for MG to give it to Kathia Cher.
Very good. Well done.
Yeah.
Smart
Here
choice
is
indeed.
the next two go in now. Last week in their final run, the last 1.6, Taylor Spivey ran a 5:03, Sophie Coldwell ran a 5:17. So Spivey will feel like she's in the box seat for this, but Coldwell has had a fantastic race. Do you think she can hold her off?
Oh, I don't know. Taylor was in fine form last week, and she's looked really, really good again so far. But Sophie did a really good job through transition there. She took a march on Taylor, and she ran out, making Taylor have to chase her. So that's the best position Sophie could have put herself in, really starting this run.
I'm keen to see how Beth Potter runs. In the second run on that second time through, she stayed with this group. She didn't distance herself too far, but this is the run for the points. She's the fastest on paper.
Rainsley will take the short shoot now because it is done, so she will jump a couple.
And there it is.
Which is handy for her. There you go. You can see the gap. Probably 3 seconds, I would say, back to Steinhauser and the other cheaters. Clamor there as well, Casillas Garcia. And then off the back is Nicole Vanderkay and Kate Woff, who has made me swear not to call her the waffle on air.
She may get
eliminated. I've done it now.
Kathia Cher may get eliminated here. She's at 90 seconds back.
Will she get eliminated? We've cut away. We'll find out whether she took the short shoot or not, or whether she finished it. No, she made it in underneath.
Short shoot saved her.
She took the short shoot. She avoided the elimination. Just.
She's in the points.
Now she has to run the house down if she is going to stay in this race to the end.
I think Georgia just gave Soph a little cheer across the off the barriers there. I think as she passed them, I saw her giving a little shout.
So Georgia, isn't it?
But that's really also it's lovely, but it's also I'm not even trying, guys. Just remember that I have enough in me to wave and smile to you while I lead you by 30 seconds.
So please don't chase me down.
Well, these two are still absolutely locked in battle as they come towards the end of this lap. And hopefully we're going to get ourselves a sprint finish.
We are. 1K to go. Spivey and Coldwell for second place. No short shoots?
No short shoots
That's
to spoil it.
A straight-up match race to the end behind Taylor Brown, and Spivey leads onto the black carpet for the second last time. There is your leader. She gets a look at her gap, which is a comfortable 21 seconds. And Georgia Taylor-Brown, barring any mishap, will be your Super League Triathlon Munich champion and will take the lead overall. Spivey, if she finishes ahead of Colwell, will be only 1 point back. So if it finishes Taylor-Brown, Spivey, Colwell, we will roll into Malibu with Taylor-Brown on 28, Spivey on 27, and Caldwell on 26, and then a gap of 8 points back to Potter from Steinhauser, Casillas Garcia, Beaugrand, who'll drop 6, and Clammer will be your top 8. But it'll be a race in 3 between the two Brits and the American, and Spivey just looks comfortable there.
She does. She's not shown any sort of signs of stress or strain on her face all day. She's looked so calm and composed and just in control of everything. Again, just meticulous with everything she's done. But got to take your hat off to Sophie Colwell. She was easily outran by Taylor Spivey last week in London, and so far she's hanging in there really tough.
What Spivey got left in the tank, and you can see there from 4th to 13th or 4th to 12th, there's a gap of about 12 seconds.
And interesting, it's Potter who's a fair way back. Non-Stanford having a great run, as is Laura Lindemann, who's come back from that bike crash and put herself in 6th position.
Yeah, Non didn't have a fantastic transition. I saw her come out quite near the back of that pack, but she's run through really brilliantly on that first lap there. And Sian Rainsley, who did get the short shoot, I think suffering a little bit for the earlier pace that she went.
Here's there from Kathia Scher, who gets eliminated. Tough day at the office for the young Swiss athlete, only 21 years of age. She'll be disappointed with that.
Georgia essentially able to cruise this home now, which gives her a massive advantage as well, because she then can recover better ahead of next week. So because she doesn't have to full pelt sprint at the end of this event, holding the Union Jack flag there on such a solemn weekend really for Brits around the globe. Yeah, she has the ability now to just calmly cross that finish line, whereas the girls behind her have to give everything.
Georgia Taylor-Brown on, as Vicky Holland said, a tough week for the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth and the world at large. She does the job here and she does it so comfortably. Taylor-Brown will lead with a little bow at the end. The black armband on. She is your Munich champion and she has been supreme. Caldwell holds off Spivey for second, so Spivey loses second place in the overall to Caldwell, who's had a fantastic run, so a Brit won too. The hugs between the Scorpion and the Cheetah. Spivey takes third place on the podium. That is a mega run from Sophie Caldwell.
Fantastic from Sophie. She was telling me just before the start today that she was really just focusing on going to see Ed Sheeran this evening. So she's done amazingly to pull it together in that way. Maybe it was the thought of going to Ed Sheeran, and it hasn't done any damage to Jean Leher, who's coming through looking like she's about to take 4th place. Or will Lara Lindemann be able to get to her?
Jean Leher, after going to Ed Sheeran, gets up the next morning, finishes 4th. Congratulations to the new recruit from Luxembourg. After a crash, Lindemann takes 5th from Non-Stanford with Verena Steinhauser, the second cheater across the line, and the third cheater is Clammer, who holds off Rainsley.
Really tight packing there from the cheaters. That'll do their points tally a real world of good.
Van der Kay with 10th position. Potter didn't run like we know she can in the end. And Casillas Garcia, another cheater across the line in the points as well. And then a big gap back to Kate Woff, who tried to hold on to the back of this pack throughout. Couldn't quite do it in the end. And after a 7th position, she backs it up with 13th. And I think, is that our last athlete across the line before the others are eliminated? So this time we saw 13 cross, and we're going to head down now to Annie Emerson, who has our winner, who was just absolutely magnificent. Annie?
Oh, GTP, what does it feel like to race a race like that and be totally in control from start to finish?
I didn't feel that in control. I knew that I just had to go. My aim was to go really hard for the first race, treat it like it was one race. and then hopefully that would split the race up, and it did. And then just, yeah, stay focused. I know from last year in Jersey, if you have a bit of a gap, you've got more time. You've got a bit more time to go through transitions and less mistakes are made. So, yeah, it felt good. I knew I was going to lose time on the swim, but I felt quite good on the bike today.
The conditions were pretty treacherous. We saw that yesterday in the warm-up, a few crashes. How did it actually feel out there?
It actually felt fine, yeah. I think the fact that it was wet yesterday and we got to practice in the wet, that it meant I knew exactly the lines I wanted to take and how I was going to take the corners and the speed. So I felt fine personally. It's actually quite grippy.
Were you surprised to see your teammate so far down, Cassandra Beaugrand, who got eliminated in the end?
Yeah, I knew she already talked herself out of it before the race, and I just said, don't worry, we're all in the same position, but I know it's hard when you go down, so yeah, it's a shame to not see her finish.
Congratulations, you are the champion here in Munich GTB. Well done. Sophie Caldwell, I think that is the quickest we have seen you run. So impressive.
Finally got the podium. Yeah, it was just one of those days when you just have to keep like chipping away, and the group got smaller and smaller, so then by the time it was just me and Taylor, it was quite nice, and then we just had a battle, so yeah, it was a tough day. Yeah, a tough day.
We know how in form Taylor is, having watched her in London. Were you surprised to be able to stick with her on the run?
Yeah, I mean, she's a little pocket rocket, isn't she? So yeah, she ran so well in London, so not that I was being defeated, but I was kind of like, well, at least you got third, and that for me was great. But I thought, well, just go out and see what happens. And then, yeah, one lap down, and I was still with her, so I thought, just give it a go and see what happens.
What a brilliant course, so incredibly quick, isn't it, on the bike? The laps fly by.
I keep forgetting how many we've done. I was like, if we've got one left, two left, because you're trying to think forward all the time about like what's coming and getting your hat and goggles on and where your shoes going and stuff. So you kind of have to think about so many things. So, yeah.
Great stuff, brilliant runners-up position. Well done, Sophie Caldwell, well done. Oh, Taylor, you got out-sprinted. That was a surprise for me.
Yeah, honestly, I've been struggling a bit this week, so I wasn't sure how I was going to pull up in this race. So just to come away with the podium, I was happy, but I always seem to be battling it out with Sophie just the last couple years, and it's fun to race her, and I knew she had a pretty strong sprint in her, so I gave it all I could, but she got me in the end.
Tell us what you think about this course, because watching you athletes race here, it looks incredibly demanding.
This course is really stop and go with all these turns, and the wet conditions added like a whole nother element, so I think it favored technically savvy riders, and I tried to be smart, but with all the water coming in your face and there's just so much to think about, I think it was hard to, just get a good flow going in this race.
Are you happy with your performance? So you got second in London, so you've had to drop back one place here.
I mean, I would have liked to come away with a better position, but I made a few mistakes at the start of the race, and like I said, just battling out with Sophie in the end was great. Yeah.
Congratulations, Taylor. Well done, your third place finish. Well done.
Thank you.
Taylor Spivey backs up a second with a third as we go back and we have a look at how it all played out in the rain at the beginning. A fantastic swim from Cassandra Beaugrand. She would pick up the swim points and the run points, but her bike was nowhere near what it needed to be. Big group coming in, and after GTB overtook Sian Rainsley, well, no one could get anywhere near her. A slip from Kathia Shah. She would get eliminated right at the back end in the final lap. Second short shoot was picked up by the Scorpions from Taylor Brown. And as she said, she went hard in the first swim, bike and run, and then after that, she could be controlled, and that is exactly what she was. Extremely controlled. Took the time to bow just before the line. We don't see that from GTB. A little bit of showmanship. She finished 11 seconds in the end ahead of Caldwell, so a Brit 1-2. Spivey, second last week, third this week. She will be second overall in the championship. And a big gap back to Jean Lahair and Laura Lindemann, who came in for this race as the wild card. Stanford was sixth overall. Verena Steinhauser, Rachel Klummer, who had a better result this time out, still a minute back. Rainsley was in it early on, but fell back to 1:07, and Nicole Vanderkay with another top 10, so well done from her, ahead of Beth Potter, who didn't make the top 10. So what does that all mean? That is the big question, and there you go. That's actually the points from after the first race, so Cassandra Beaugrand was in control. But it's Spivey who stays there. Cassandra Beaugrand drops all the way down to 7th in this one, and Taylor Brown heads herself up to the top. There is the post-Munich points, and there you say, Taylor Brown takes it from Spivey and Caldwell. It's a race in 3 there, Chris McCormack. It's a big gap back to Verena Steinhauser.
Yeah, I think George will be happy with that. I think Taylor Spivey has shown her form. I think she's going to be very, very good in Malibu. She's close to home. Sophie Caldwell not going, but Steinhauser is right in the mix. The cheaters were all over today's racing when you look at the overall results.
Yeah, they needed to be as well, but you guys were extremely good in the discipline work, and that means that the Scorpions end up on 152 as it stands at the moment. The Sharks on 96. The cheaters move up from 5th to 3rd with 44 discipline points in that one, and some great work overall as well. You'll be happy with that, but I've got to say, your men have been not doing the job.
Yeah. Yeah, we're very much relying on the women for our point scoring, but there's been instructions on the men to follow that and chase those individual discipline points.
There is our 1 and 2. Both supreme athletes, Taylor Brown and Caldwell. So a look back again at what happened in that race, and Cassandra Beaugrand, well, I knew she was going to be a little bit tentative, but I cannot believe how tough it was for her on the bike.
Yeah, we saw it yesterday. We sort of talked her off the cliff. She had a bad crash yesterday. She's had a sore hip coming into the series anyway, so I think all of that combined. I was glad that she had a boyfriend here to help talk her onto the start line. Oh, there's the crash of Kathia. She had a great day. She was eliminated with the last run, but to be mixing it with the best in the world at such a young age, she has a big, big future ahead of her.
We talked about this, and I think we can put a lot more faith in the Sophie Caldwell run now after watching her. Taylor Spivey said she wasn't quite there, but Sophie Caldwell not known for a super quick run. Taylor Spivey is known for that.
I think Sophie Caldwell just likes being in the mix. If you put her in a position to podium or to win a race, she'll have a go at it. She's a very difficult woman to run over the top of. She's such a gritty racer, and she loved this enduro format.
We welcome Annie Emerson into the commentary box right now, and she's been out there. She's coming into the warmth of the commentary box. What's the vibe like down there, Annie? Because there's a nice big crowd, and it seems like there's a lot of noise when you're heading out of transition.
Oh, it's just amazing. It really is. And you know, I'm so impressed with all these athletes and how they've handled the conditions today. We're just seeing Sophie there on our screen. For me, that was one of the best runs. I know it's a much shorter distance and perhaps in the longer stuff or commie games or something like that, but to watch her stay in control and keep it together in the final 200 metres to out-sprint Taylor Spivey, who is in such great run form at the moment, absolutely amazing.
Well, if there's any doubt about Georgia Taylor Brown's championship credentials, I think we can put that completely to bed. I've seen not many more composed performances across the course of the last 5 years of Super League Triathlon, and that certainly was one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the medal presentation for the women's race today here in Munich. Please welcome the medalists.
We're going to see a lot more of these 3 women on the podium across the course of the next 6 weeks or so. And Taylor Spivey has done her premiership or championship credentials. No harm whatsoever with that one. Leonid Boguslavsky, the chairman and one of the founders of Super League Triathlon, here to hand out the medals to a cheetah, a rhino and a scorpion. Spivey, the American, will be looking forward to going home to Malibu and putting on a good performance. She grew up surf lifesaving. She's going to be good in the shore break of Malibu. And I think she's probably just looking forward to getting home after a lot of time on the road.
Looks cold.
Freezing. Bottom lip is quivering away.
Sophie Caldwell, who is a perennial top fiver and will be very happy with second place in this race. As she said, finally on the podium, and I think that's a big confidence boost for her. It's a pity that she's going to be missing next weekend.
It's surprised it's her first podium because this sort of racing suits her so much, and we saw that today. I think she can really build from this and maintain a podium position for the overall.
Thought about the hat, decided against it. Georgia Taylor Brown standing on the top step. She looks like she is about to start racing, doesn't she?
Interviewing her, I mean, honestly, she showed virtually no signs of just having done a really tough 50 minutes.
I think she did a really tough 15 minutes and then measured her way through the rest of the race.
You're right. You're spot on there, Will.
There we see the champagne form. Who gets this right?
Who gets it right? Who gets it right first? Pop, then shake. There we go. Taylor Brown, she knows how it's done. They're a lot more tentative on the champagne than the men are.
Maybe we need to go down there and give them a few lessons, hey, Mako? I reckon you could sort them out on that one.
What a great race.
What a great race.
Yeah, it really was. Great race.
I love this format so much. The athletes have to absolutely stay on it because otherwise you're out of it. And I think there's a lot of athletes that work really hard today to stay on.
And the athletes are always apprehensive about the enduro because of the eliminations.
Yeah.
More than any other format, more athletes are eliminated in this one than any other one.
I'm surprised that we only had 8 eliminations in this one. I was expecting to get down to the Super 6 rule with I think maybe the wet made it a little bit easier to stay in contention. We're going to head down now to Vicky Holland with the Eagles team manager, Tim Don.
Tim, with your Eagles hat on, not the most fantastic start, you're now in 5th position, but a couple of encouraging performances.
Yeah, you're right. I think the points don't tell a true picture of the Eagles. Sian had a great race. She was second out the water, but she got the short shoot, which I was happy to give to her. She had a bit of breathing difficulty the second swim. She just worked herself into that race. So again, some great performances. Sophia Green, yeah, she got eliminated, but I know she'll come back. But I think we've got a good team spirit at the moment.
With your men's performance last week, you must be excited to see what they can bring to the table today.
Oh yeah, I'm always excited for the Eagles men. You know, they're real feisty. They like to get in the fight right from the start. We had some bad luck with Maddie and obviously with Jamie last week, but I think they want to put amends to that, and they're after those sharks in the swim, let me tell you. But I want them to be careful. No risks on this course.
Thanks very much, Tim, and we wish you all the best.
Tim Don, owner of, arguably now, the fastest Ironman time in history. Could be Christian Blumenfeld, could be Tim Don, depending on which side of the fence you fall. He is managing his Eagles, led by Matt Hauser and Jamie Riddle, who will be super quick in this swim, and there's been plenty of controversy about that since last week. These are the men's ones to watch as we head to the men's race in just a second.
There's always a touch of drama in SLT, and in London, it began at the gun. Matt Hauser, a real series contender, penalised for a false start in a case of mistaken identity. That has kicked off a real rivalry between the 4 best swimmers, one that's carried on all week here in Munich, and one that might need to be settled at some point. Hauser would rejoin the race at the back, while at the front, all eyes were on the next chapter of the ongoing battle between Hayden Wilde and Alex Yee. Hometown favourite Jonny Brownlee was back from injury and pushing his way forward. The trio joined by Vasco Vilasa for a Stage 1 sprint finish. The pace got hotter in Stage 2 with crashes and near misses behind as the men scrambled to avoid losing too much time and to avoid Hauser, who was angry and tearing the field apart. He'd narrowed the gap to 12 seconds in Stage 1, and in the Stage 2 swim, it was gone altogether. As we knew it would, it came down to the last run, and finally, this time, it was Wilde who had the legs. Yee was third, but won't race the rest of the series, moving Scorpion Tyler Mislachuk up the ladder after an impressive 4th from Brownlee, who was excellent in Munich last time out, and will be looking for another podium to get his title chances back on track.
Right, well, we are set to go here at Super League Triathlon Munich, and we are going to head down right now to Vicky Holland, who has the Cheetahs assistant team manager, because the Cheetahs main team manager, Annie Emerson, is here. But we're going to head to Vicky with Michael Buchek.
Okay, you have this?
Michael, 5th place after last week. You're already up to 3rd place. You must be pleased with that.
It was an unbelievable race done by Sophie. I mean, she was incredible. I told her, stay calm. It's wet. It's going to be dangerous, but stay calm, stay calm. She did an unbelievable race, straight from the gun all the way to the end. And the rest, I can't even say more. They stay together. They fight for every single spot in the ranking. So unbelievable. I'm so pleased. I mean, I can't ask for more.
Yeah, they were so tightly packed together, your cheaters. They're really good points. Now looking ahead to the men, are you hoping for more of the same?
Well, I told the boys, like, this is your time now. Right? It's a pressure. The girls did incredible, so this is your time, and you got to shine too.
Have you got any standout performers that you think are going to pick up some good points today?
I think the Max is in a great form, so Max is going to shine, and as well the Richard, he likes this kind of condition, so definitely this is going to be playing these cards.
And just out of interest, have you had a discussion about whether they're going to run down the steps or whether they're going to go down that grassy bank? Because it is slippy. What are they going to do?
Well, it is a slippery, but still, you're going to get a little bit of more traction out of on the grass. Even it's slippery, they still can grab onto a little bit more than on the stairs. So I think that most of them is going to run on the grass. So this is going to be the key as well.
And are they all feeling okay about the slightly wet conditions on the course as well?
Well, as you've seen, like during the women's race, there was a little bit of rain going down. Now the rain has stopped, so it's going to be a little bit drier. Not too dry. It's still a bit wet, but so also they have to be careful. But yeah, it's going to be a great race.
Thank you.
All right, the cheaters there. He was talking about Max Stapley, the Australian who now has moved over to Great Britain, and Richard Murray, our 2017 inaugural champion, and look for him on this one as well. But the man who is tipped to take it all is Hayden Wilde, ahead of Jonny Brownlee and Matt Hauser, as we welcome the athletes out onto the course. There is the enduro format if you're just joining us. 3 back-to-back triathlons: swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run. We start with the cheaters, and we start with none other than Olympic gold, silver and bronze medalist, the most successful male Olympic triathlete. That is Jonny Brownlee, joined by Shatjar Sagiv, and Stapley we'll see as well, and Murray. And the cheaters have had a fantastic time. Can they continue it on, Annie? I mean, you're going to say yes because you're in charge.
Absolutely. I think this is a format that really does suit Jonny Brownlee. I think there's no disputing that. I'm not being biased here, absolutely not. I'm really looking forward to seeing Max as well after that crash last week. And I think that Sahar Sajif as well was wonderful last week. You know, he's really coming into his own, so expect great performances from the Eagles.
The Eagles, well, we talked so much this week about Jamie Riddle and Matt Hauser. Riddle was the one.
There he is.
And there he is, that did the false start. It was handed to Hauser, who was forced to work his way back in through the field and finish second in one of the most incredible performances I think we've seen in Super League history. And Emil Holm was the man who pushed so hard on the bike, his cleats were destroyed. Oh, look, they've even got the little Eagles thing worked out. What will the Rhinos do when it comes to that? We're going to find out in just a second. Sergio Baxter, Valentin Wernz and Vasco Velasco, who actually rode Georgia Taylor Brown's bike, if you can believe that.
Last week.
5 minutes before the race last week, his bike started leaking oil, like brake fluid, and he just picked up Georgia Taylor Brown's bike, which had not the European brakes, it was back to front.
Yeah.
But the UK brakes, so he had the front brake on the left-hand side and the back brake on the right, which was back to front for him. Didn't change anything on the bike, still finished 11th. What can he do?
And the seat height was a little too high, which is the worst. So what an amazing race last week in London. I expect him to be pushing at the front. There's Hayden Wilde from the Sharks. Probably the favourite going into this format this week. I think Matty House is going to give him a very hard time, but Hayden Wilde will be tough to beat.
Our stats say that Hayden Wilde has a 34.2% chance of winning this one. Only 0.2% chance in the swim of winning the swim, but the bike and the running supreme. Brownlee, 22% chance. Hauser, 13, but I think that says on paper, I think in reality, it's different. Now,
his teammates
on this
could win
team,
this one.
that's exactly right. McQueen, 36, and Reed, 38. Those two have been in a war of words all week with Jamie Riddle and Matt Hauser about who deserves the swim points and who is the better swimmer. And finally, leading out the Bahrain Victoria Scorpions is Ryan Fisher of Australia, who's come in for Vincent Lewis. Kenji Nina, who finished in the top 8 here last year, who has been a little bit ill over the last few weeks, but continues to go all out like he always does. Races for Japan, but grew up and lives part of the time in Perth. And Tyler Mislachuk, who finished 4th. So good to see him Macca return to some kind of form after a difficult 12 months.
A great race in London. He was very, very happy to out-sprint Jonathan Brownlee. They've had a war in Super League racing over the last 4 years. Been a few sprint finishes. I know he drew a lot of strength from that. He's not going to like the cold conditions. He doesn't like racing in cold. He was concerned about the water temperature, so hopefully his head's in the game. We've talked him up, and he's looking at an overall win.
This time it's the cheaters in the middle pontoon position. It didn't seem to bother Cassandra Beaugrand about an hour ago, who just swam away from everyone. I'm not sure whether Brownlee and co are capable of doing that in the same way. Closest to us is the Sharks in pontoon position 1. It is a random draw, and then the Scorpions are joining on the other side of the pontoon. So you'd be happy with the outside, Chris?
We got the outside call there, but the Sharks, there's a lot of power, swim power on that inside, that far right of the pontoon with Taylor Reid and Chase McQueen. And fortunately, we put Kenji Nina on the far side to give him some gaps, and we've moved Tyler Mislachok into the middle to benefit from Matt Hauser, who's in the Eagles right next to us.
Yeah, Mislachuk will be one of the guys that Hauser hopes goes with him if he's going to put any time into Hayden Wild on the swim. And here we go, round 2 of Super League Triathlon. We're here in Munich. The men's are go. It looked like a clean start, although they all had a bit of trouble slipping on the numbers there, so no one got a good dive out, except for perhaps at the other end, there is McQueen and Reid on the far right of your screen, who had a great start.
That looks like Matty Hauser, is it, in the middle? There
I think it is.
Straight armed, or it's Riddle.
Well, you can't get those two. Don't get those two mixed up. We can't do that.
Interesting, Chris Purnham, who's very, very fast off the block from the Scorpions. That's him just coming up on the cheetah there. Well, it looks like Jonny Brownlee.
Yeah, Nina on the left.
Yes.
Having a good start to that swim, and Purnham next to him.
Yeah.
I think Chris Purnham is doing a great job, because he comes into this style of racing, you know, as a novice, doesn't he? So I think he will improve with every race, for sure.
We've seen Chris Purnham in Super League racing before, but he came in at short notice this time around when Henry Schoeman picked up an elbow fracture, and we all feel for Henry after the 12 months or so that he's had. He'll be watching on, I think, from home in South Africa. Just become a new dad, so a very, very bright spot in what's been a difficult year career-wise for Henry Schoeman.
It's been a difficult year for a lot of athletes as well. If you look at Vincent Luis as well, who won here last year in Munich over the different formats than today. It was the eliminator, wasn't it?
Great swim by
from
Kenji
Nina. Yeah.
Really, really good swim. The Sharks are obviously chasing those swim points. Interestingly, it was Matt Hauser last week in London was the only athlete to score points in every one of the single disciplines. So he's in the top 3 in the swim, top 3 in the bike, top 3 in the run. And he's
sitting on those feet now.
Yeah.
That's him in second position, and I think from Taylor Reid. And then next to him is Chase McQueen. Kenji Nina having a fantastic swim.
And Jonny Brownlee back there in the orange cheetah suit. And that looks like, Tyler Mislachok on the far side in the right.
I think you're right. All your Scorpions are there in about the top 8.
That inside run's very, very good for Tyler. He'll get around that boy quicker and stay out of the mess. He'll get a clear run, a clear sighting of the swim exit.
Two of the team managers there looking on. Tim Don on the right, Michelle Dillon on the left. We haven't heard from the Sharks team. And then Michelle's husband, Stuart Hayes, who is part of the London 2012 Olympics team alongside Jonny Brownlee and Alistair Brownlee, is the assistant coach. Tough being assistant coach to your wife, who's the head coach.
Oh, I think
breed some contempt in the Hayes-Dillon family, do you think?
I think Hayes does a pretty good job.
He knows
where he stands, absolutely.
100%.
Interesting, you're going to see a shootout between Jonny Brownlee on the left. If you look at 3rd, 4th and 5th position, you've got a cheetah up there, you've got another Shark and Kenji Nina, and they're chasing those individual discipline points, because obviously off the front are the Sharks. Looks like Taylor Reid who's going to grab
that McQueen or Reid at the front?
I can't pick it.
It's hard to tell.
Looks like Reid.
I think it might be Reid. Reid and Hauser, so the Kiwi and the Australian. And Hauser's come up on his hip here. He's not content to stay on the feet.
I think that's Riddle.
Taylor Reid. Is it
Riddle?
Riddle?
Hauser, yeah, it's Riddle.
Well, where's Hauser?
I know, it's interesting.
Where is Hauser? I think he's nervous after last weekend. He's like,
I'm not willing to say whether that's Riddle or Hauser.
Do you want to put $10 on it, Will?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
Come on, Kenji, we need these points. Not biased.
I think you're right, actually.
Oh, we got it.
I think I did get it.
And it's Max
Where's the money? Stapley is the cheater, not Brownlee.
Yeah.
So Reid and it's Riddle out of the water. I was wrong.
Where is Matt Hauser?
McQueen, Nina, Stapley, Hauser in 6th. Mislachuk, Sergio Baxter, who was great last week as well. He's just had such a year. Valentine Wirtz, Chris Perham, Ryan Fisher and Brownlee back in 12th position. So it was Riddle out of the water. Reid was first. There is Hauser in the back of your screen.
This is the short shoot. Who's going to get this short shoot? We've got
big question. It is going to be the Sharks who come out. So Reid does his job, picks up. It probably could also be the fastest swim, but he picks up a Sharks short shoot from Stapley, who's had a much better start.
Oh, and the rain is starting to come down now here, which is going to make the bike even tougher as well. Jonny Brownlee having a bit of a poor swim by his standards, but I think he's still trying to find form after those 2 breaks that he suffered in his elbow and wrist after that crash in Leeds.
At the back there was Panagiotis Bitidos, who the Greek Xterra athlete who comes in, hasn't done much world triathlon racing, but at the front it's another Shark, and it is leading a bunch, Taylor Reid of New Zealand, renowned swimmer who takes a little bit of, I guess, bragging rights in the ongoing swim battle into Malibu.
With the rain coming down, and this is where the most dangerous lap, the first and second laps, when you're trying to move up and make up for the gaps that you've lost in the swim, you take a little bit of chances through the corners, so you could see crashes as people try and move through. The best position to be right is where Max Stapley is right now on screen, leading. You get to run your lines through the corners, hold the apex, and everyone tends to follow your line. You get it wrong, and there could be a big pile up behind.
All right, there's a nice little dry patch there under the trees, but it's wet on the right-hand side of the screen. We're going to head down now to Vicky, who has the Sharks team manager, Michelle Dillon.
Michelle, short shoot, your first one. You must be delighted with that.
Absolutely. The plan was to get the short shoot, and the guys had a good inside line today, so they absolutely nailed it. It was clear as well, and Hayden about 10 seconds back, so we're happy where we are at the moment.
So that was the real idea from Taylor Reid there, to go after that short shoot.
Yeah, definitely. It was between Taylor and Chase, and obviously Taylor felt better today, but yeah, they went after it, and look, I'm super happy.
And overall, your team is sitting in second after a good, strong female performance as well, so you must be happy.
Oh, delighted. Cannot wait to see what's going to happen in this race.
Brilliant, thank you.
Stapley continues to lead on the second lap of the bike, and we wonder who is going to get that short shoot, because there really is a lot of athletes in about a 10-second gap. Already at this stage in the women's race, we're seeing things string out a lot more than this.
Yeah, this is interesting that it's so close together. We're going to need the run and the swim, I think, to break this up a little bit. The athletes being really cautious, and rightly so. You just don't want to take any risks this early on. You know, Georgia Taylor-Brown had such brilliant, smooth, quiet road, and of course it was a little bit drier. The rain has been coming down for the last 5 minutes, and that's going to make it a lot more slippery than what we saw in the women's race.
Where you see the gaps open up are those athletes that aren't prepared to hold that wheel and take those chances through the corners. Max Stapley on the front, driving the pace. You're seeing Tyler Mislachuk just leaving those small gaps. That could see it break apart. I saw Vasco Velasco moving through. He's a great athlete. He is very, very comfortable in these conditions. I saw him slide the back wheel out yesterday and keep it upright. He's going to love this, as is Hayden Wild.
Yeah, speaking of Hayden Wild, there he is, just coming across the dismount line. He's on the far right of your screen there, just trying to find a way through this big gap. You can see him there with the Red Bull helmet on, just having a lot of athletes in his way. Now, he's a renowned biker. He was about 15 seconds back after the... oh, no, sorry, I'm incorrect there. 8 seconds back after the swim, in which the pace was right on. And that is a lot better than last week, where he finished dead last out of the first swim and still end up winning that race. So he's in a decent position. But I suppose fatigued swims for a guy like Hayden Wild is not exactly what you want. It's probably not a format that favours the Kiwi compared to someone like a Matt Hauser or a Jamie Riddle or a Taylor Reid, who can swim well under fatigue.
Look, I think he'd be sided with the rain. You saw as he came around that corner, he forced Tyler Mislachuk wide. He came in very, very hot and forced everyone to move outwards. So it gave him about 4 or 5 positions just going around the corner. He takes a lot of chances. His bike skills are impeccable, and he'll move through and be very, very comfortable. And we know how strong his run is.
He's already biked right up to the back. He's probably in about 10th position there. Hayden Wild, he was in 16th position at the end of the last lap, so he's carving his way through this field, and he needs to stay in touch.
Ryan Fisher and Chris Perman have been swinging off the back there all race, just off the back of that group, which is the worst place to be. It's probably the safest, but you want to get that wheel in front to conserve as much energy as you can.
So it's Stackley from Reed at the front. Valentine Burns is having a day out at the moment in third position. Kenji Nina as well, who has a illness, a virus, which means that in the last 3 or 4 weeks, every time he hits top heart rate, he vomits. It's something to do with the neurovirus that he had 4 weeks ago. So look out for a little bit of Kenji Nina's breakfast at some point during this race.
I tell you what, he's a guy that doesn't stop, though. I've seen him all around here today. He was out there earlier this morning when we were out for a run. He's been on his bike. I've seen him doing hundreds of laps. Michelle was telling him to calm down and not overtrain before the race.
Now, I'm hearing that Jonny Brownlee has an issue with his bike. I'm not seeing him in this group.
He's at the back of the group. I was wondering why he's so far back. The last one went farthest, the last one on the front. He went straight past Brownlee. Should have had a look at him. So it must be something you can see, because he looked at Jonny thinking, what's going on here? And Johnny's drifting right towards the back.
Bad luck if you're a Team GB fan after watching a 1-2 in the women's, that Jonny Brownlee, who, I mean, he contended, but he wasn't quite there in London in front of the home fans, finished 5th overall behind Tyler Mislachuk, now has potentially a mechanical issue. There he is rounding now. The bike looks okay. I'm not sure. Maybe he's got a flat. I can't really see from this angle.
He looks okay, but it's a surprising position to find Jonny Brownlee in, because he likes to be up at the front, particularly in these conditions. We can see him just taking his shoes out, or his feet out of his shoes now, so he has managed to complete this bike, and hopefully if he has got a problem, they can take a look at it now while he moves on to the next discipline.
It almost looked as if Burns didn't quite dismount before the line there, but that could have just been an optical illusion. Nina out, Mislachuk in. Who gets the short shoot on this one? Could have been Nina. No, it's going to be Burns who's taking it for the Rhinos. Well. Little sprint there at the end, and it always helps when you're racking at the far end.
Vasco Velasco will benefit from that. It was a great coming into transition for Vasco. Put himself in front after being the slowest of that group in the swim, and is now right in the action.
Snooze, you lose, right?
Yeah.
I think Kenji Nina was giving it his all to try and get them. Maybe not quite until he saw Burns just pop out. 17th he was last week, Valentine Burns, and now he's at home and
How's doesn't look as good as last week. He does not look as good.
But maybe he's trying to be a little smarter in terms of waiting a little bit longer until he really puts the hammer down in this one, because, you know, with the swim quality that he has, we all thought he could go off the front and isolate himself too quick.
He's in the hunt. He's still in the mix. He just seems to be running not as tall as he was last week. I think the conditions are tough, but he does have that massive swim. Kenji looking magnificent on screen.
And Wild just coming through the field now, sitting in 4th place, as we'd expect, trying to make his way through. We can just have a look now at my assistant team manager taking a look at Jonny Brownlee's bike.
Yeah, the managers can do work on the bikes.
But Wild moving up here in 4th position with Vasco Velasco and isolating Matt Hauser, that says to me that Matt is just... You just don't let those gaps open. Wild's the danger player. You know he's the favourite for the race. He doesn't have that big swim, but Kenji can swim. He was, 3rd out of the water. So if this group can stay away...
Now, on the Instagram page of Super League Triathlon, Macca gave his predictions during the week, and he predicted Matt Hauser over Hayden Wild. Now, Hayden sent me a screenshot of that, and he said, what do I have to do to take favouritism into this? And we said, well, he's going to have to win another one, obviously, and then we'll see what Macca does next week ahead of Malibu. We'll head down to the black carpet and interview with the Rhinos team manager, Ronnie Schildknecht.
But you know what? You've got to be...
with Valentine Burns.
Sorry.
Right, we'll pick up there. Hopefully we'll get that interview in just a second, because Ronnie's going to be extremely happy as Vasco Velasco just edges up on Hayden Wild as the three of them, along with Kenji Nina, look to run away from this group, which is led by Burns, with Hauser now in 5th position and Jonny Brownlee running up into 6th. So hopefully that bike issue can be fixed before they get onto the bike again. Of course, they've got to go swim, bike, run.
Jonny Brownlee, the racing IQ and the experience on the guy is amazing. He's just tracking Hauser, who he knows is going to be a big swimmer.
All right, we'll head back down to the black carpet to Vicky Holland with Ronnie Schildknecht.
Ronnie, you picked up a short shoot there with Valentin Wertz. You must be delighted for your team.
Yeah, home crowd favorite here in Germany. He gave it all, and yeah, he took the short shoot. Well, now it's my decision who will get it. I have to see how the race approaches now. Vasco is in the front, Sergio is coming, so this is going to be, yeah, it's going to be my pick, but yeah, I haven't decided now.
Yeah, it's too early in the race for that. But we saw Vasco come in right at the front as well, so it must have been at the forefront of their mind to try and get that short shoot. Did you tell them that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I always tell them try to get the short shoot, but it's not that easy. You know, you can say a lot, but to do it, it's much, much harder.
We wish you good luck with your choice.
Thank you.
Of these three at the front, it is the Sharks and the Rhinos that do have the short shoot. A lot of water under the bridge to go before then, but Hayden Wilde might end up with one. Vasco Velasa might end up with one like he did last week. And Matty Hauser and Jonny Brownlee have put themselves into a two-man race for fourth and fifth. So
I think they'll swim up.
Yeah, I think they will too.
I think Matty Hauser will drag this to be a group of 5. I think Hayden, the weakest swimmer of this group to some degree, him and Vasco. I think Kenji's swimming very, very well. This could become a group of 5, all off the back of the power of Matty Hauser's second swim that I think Jonny Brownlee will benefit from.
I agree with you as well, Maka. Jonny, really smart racing, just staying with Hauser. You know, he knows what he can do, particularly on the second swim. We saw it, didn't we, in London, just how strong he was. And Wilde's got to get a little bit of a tiny bit of a break because he knows that swimming is not his strength. You can just see him now taking his shoes off.
Oh, in the box. Oh, that was lucky. He actually did an Instagram poll this week to let the fans decide which shoes he should wear, but it looks like he's got both down there anyway. So it was just a straight-up marketing ploy from Hayden Wilde as he heads down to the place where he slipped last year famously. We've seen that plenty of times on replay, but he gets down well this time, and it's Nina who barrels down the hill. Velasa, Hauser, Brownlee ahead of Wertz and the chasing pack. Emil Holm in there as well. There is Reed, who has a little slip. Oh,
Murray's
Richard Murray. And Shachar Sagiv and Stapley, who's hanging onto the back of that, but he's a supreme swimmer, so he'll no doubt catch up.
Hayden Wilde swims better on the front. I think he likes the clear water. He gets to get his own line into the swim buoys. We saw him last week really track Hayden and Matt Hauser in that third swim. He's a very, very clever tactician, Hayden Wilde. Kenji Nina closing that gap straight up onto Hayden's feet.
So Hayden Wilde picked up the third short shoot there by arriving at the dismount line first, but that means the Sharks and the Rhinos just keep their 2 short shoots and nobody else gets one. You can only win 1 per team, but you can stop other teams as Kenji Nina comes up and overtakes Hayden Wilde.
Hauser on the left, who's closed that gap and brought Jonny Brownlee with him, and surprisingly the group behind has benefited from that as well, making it one big group again.
That's true. We come back together, and Nina leads still. So, Kenji Nina, who I'm tempted to continue to call an Australian, given that he grew up in Perth, but he races for Japan. Finished 7th last year, finished 14th in Tokyo. It was a long road to get there for Kenji Nina to make his Olympic debut. He moved up to Queensland, left Perth early on in his career and trained alongside athletes like Emma Moffat and Brad Carlefelt. And he's having a fantastic swim. You're right, he's in great swim form, and he's just put a little body length into the rest of, well, Hauser, who's now up in second, and Wilde, who's dropped to third.
I don't think that's a sensible move from him, really, because I think that he could be slightly pushing himself a little bit too hard. We saw it with Hauser last week, and I'd say Hauser is the superior swimmer. So I think Kenji just needs to just kind of relax a little bit, otherwise he's going to find...
He doesn't relax.
He doesn't.
No, we know he doesn't, but he's going to find himself running.
Very well. We saw him in that first swim. He was right there, just missing the points from the oval. He's 4th out of the water. He's obviously feeling great in the water. And a lot of the time when you're leading, you're just setting your own tempo, you're swimming strong, you're not too sure what's happening behind, but you know if we can set a good tempo with athletes like Hayden Wilde and Vasco Velasa not being as strong in the water, every gap matters. And you don't have to find that on dry land. He's swimming great.
He's got a lovely stroke, hasn't he? Really lovely and high in the water, very relaxed. He's already got a body length between himself and Hauser, which is really impressive. It's Jonny Brownlee that's on Hauser's feet, and Wilde has slipped back onto Johnny's feet. But they really have pulled good. The top 12 that we saw, Max Stapley rounding up that top 12, are all kind of back in it now. Looks like Kenji's gone a little bit wide there. Has he gone off course?
Well, the other's gone off course.
The other's gone off course.
Matt Hauser.
Oh,
hard to see from this angle, though, isn't it? But we'll find out in just a second. At the moment, the provisional fastest laps. At the moment, the run laps are held by Hayden Wilde, Jonny Brownlee and Matt Hauser, so the team points split between 3 teams there. Dan Dixon did hold the best bike lap until Hayden Wilde pulled out a 43.2 kilometre average bike lap to go number 1 from Shakshar Sagiv, who's one of your cheaters, who holds the 3rd and 4th fastest bike laps so far, but those laps for team points can be set in the second swim, bike and run as well. So Nina continues as the sun comes out here in Munich. Just something a little bit different, 4 seasons in a day. And we've seen that pretty much every day since we've been here all week with the athletes training. And out of the water for the second swim comes the Scorpion, Kenji Nina. And followed by Matt Hauser, who swum himself from 5th to 2nd. Brownlee swum himself from 5th to 3rd.
Jonny Brownlee put himself in that position from that run. He tracked Matt Hauser on the run, said, I'm not going anywhere, and it's paid dividends. 3rd out of the water, followed the feet up of Matt Hauser, and in striking distance to winning this over all day.
And Nina has racked his bike in front ways, so it takes just a little bit longer to get out. It's not going to make any difference. He's still going to come out first. Hauser there putting the helmet on. Brownlee putting the Phoenix helmet on. And they cross in the sun here in front of a really healthy crowd, considering the conditions across the morning have been pretty miserable. There is Wilde.
You have to make this group. It's imperative if you're back there struggling after that swim to get onto this group. This group will disappear.
Wilde had a fantastic mount of his bike there, and he's overtaken a couple of people just heading into the first corner. Not Nina, though.
Nina looks like he wants to do a GTB here and go off the front by himself, but I think he's going to have his work cut out with Hauser and Jonny Brownlee close behind him. It looks like a different place to what we saw about 10 minutes ago, didn't we? The sun doesn't know the weather doesn't know what to do here.
Vasco Velasa comes up onto the back of Brownlee as well. Now, the gap between Velasa and Reed is going to be telling here. Could end up being a race in 5 if the pace is on, and it will be with Nina, the Scorpion, pushing it at the front.
Is it Reed or Wilde?
I think it's Wilde second, because he had such a good mount of his bike.
He sees an opportunity here.
Bike handling skills.
He sees if he can get across to Kenji Nina and isolate Matty Hauser and Jonathan Brownlee, he seems to be in hot pursuit of Kenji.
We've talked time and again this week about the fact that whoever leads off this race needs an ally at the front.
Yeah.
And Nina could be that guy who pushes the pace and pushes the pace, and then Wilde can run over the top of him at the back end.
Yeah, there seems to be some urgency in Hayden, and I think Jonny Brownlee has identified that and put his head down and started chasing.
Hauser, though, did take 12 seconds out of Hayden Wilde in that swim. He was 12 seconds quicker over the 300. He was 8 seconds back, and then he got out of the water 4 seconds up. So
Jonny Brownlee, Vasco Velasa, and Matty Hauser has been isolated a little bit.
There he is, with Taylor Reid behind him. So Hauser's not looking as comfortable as he did last week. At the front, it's Nina, 4 seconds back to Wilde. Brownlee sitting pretty in 3rd, so it looks like those mechanical issues that he had in the first stage have disappeared.
And it's a nib.
As Kenji Nina continues on to lap 2, we're going to head down now to Vicky, who is with Michael Gilliam, who will be having a good time right now.
MG, a great showing from Kenji Nina today. Tell us about how he's going.
Well, he's going really well. I was concerned during the week because the guy was jamming big Ks during the week, both on the bike and the run. And he's made me look stupid because he's out at front at the moment. We're very happy with that.
Yeah, he's really setting the pace, and we know he had a little crash yesterday. Doesn't seem to have affected his confidence one bit.
Well, thank goodness. I couldn't have 2 of them be affected by confidence. But yeah, it's been great so far, but this is a key one. This race now is the key. You've got to set yourself up for the next swim, and just watch what happens when you see that mad New Zealander come through.
Thanks, MG.
A confident Michael Gilliam is a dangerous thing on live television, but
we all sort of sat there cringy. I wait for it.
You love to see it.
What's Wilde going to think of that?
He doesn't mind. He's doing exactly what Hayden Wilde does, which is chase down the leader and then potentially lead. But look at the gap back now to Matt Hauser. He's gone.
You don't have Velasa back there with Hauser, and Vasco Velasa is a gap closer, and he's with this group here. Jonny Brownlee saw that. He jumped across to Hayden Wilde, and this group of 4 is very, very dangerous. Obviously, with Kenji swimming so well, this next run's going to be critical. I think Hayden Wilde will start to put some smack down.
Well, it all comes down to, at the end of this next run, what is the gap going to be back to Matt Hauser? Can he swim himself back to this crew? He has Taylor Reid alongside him at the moment. All those two together, and Max Stapley, all supreme swimmers. Will they be able to take whatever this time is out? It will require a big, big run. But at the front, it's Jonny Brownlee and Hayden Wilde, two of the best in the world in terms of their incredible resumes. Of course, Wilde is the Commonwealth silver medalist and the Olympic bronze medalist from Tokyo and Birmingham, respectively. Jonny Brownlee also completed his set of Olympic medals with another one in Tokyo in the mixed team relay, the gold, to add to his silver and bronze from the previous two Olympics. And Vasco Valasa, who has always promised podiums and has never quite gone from that sixth-place athlete to that third-place athlete yet.
He's also got a short shoot. The Rhinos have a short shoot, correct?
They do, yes, and the Sharks.
Short shoot and the Sharks. So interesting, Hayden Wilde and Vasco Valasa, if the short shoots are allocated to them.
How could they not be?
You'd have to.
I think the story about Valasa, though, is really interesting. He's such a disciplined, dedicated athlete, moving from Portugal to Sweden, leaving his family to go and find the best coach for him. And let's not forget, he is one of the youngest athletes racing here in the field. And I tell you what, this guy has a really big career ahead of him. He currently has the fastest bike lap at the moment with an average speed of 43.6 kilometres an hour. Now,
I'll tell you what, it helps when he's got his own bike, no?
Yeah, well, that does help, because who does he ride? Does he ride Georgia
George Taylor Brown's bike without modifying it at all, 3 minutes before the race.
Last weekend in London, yeah.
Helps when you've got your own bike.
But to be honest, when you look at them stop-starting, it's a 900-metre course, actually 43.6 kilometres an hour. It's not bad going on a course
with
like that.
With those three dead turns, essentially.
It's incredible.
We all know how good a bike rider Jonny Brownlee is, and on those tight turns, he's the one that gets shelled off the back slightly.
But you know why that is. He's still lost his nerve. What did you say? That he in his own words.
He said it. He said, I can't say the exact words
no,
he said,
don't
but
say
he
it.
said, I'm racing like a wimp.
Yeah.
I'll say wimp.
Yeah. Yes. But, you know, when you've had a really bad crash, okay, it wasn't caused by him, it wasn't in wet conditions, you are left feeling a bit nervous. And the older you get, the tougher it gets to recover from those crashes.
Who was it caused by, Annie?
Listen, I have no idea.
According to Jonny.
I know
that man in the middle of the screen?
Do you know what?
Allegedly?
The jury is still out. It is racing.
It is. It's racing.
And
racing
crashes happen, right?
Exactly
so
it's going to be an interesting run now. This is the run. This is the run with Nina and Brownlee being the strongest swimmers of these two. In order to stay in the mix, Jonny needs to move up and Kenji needs to stay with this group.
Yeah.
Those two men could both have a short shoot. And Valasa, smart enough to rack his bike backwards.
Both great runners.
On go the second set of shoes for Wilde, unclips the helmet. And it's Nina, though, who crosses the line first.
Kenji's
Brownlee,
today
not such a great transition from Valasa. So he's going to be chasing.
Jonny's feeling good, though. I think he's racing himself back into it. You know, those of us that know him really well and understand racing know that race by race, he's going to get quicker.
Yeah.
Shachar Sagiv is having quite the time.
A stunning race.
He continues to deliver solid performances, the Israeli in Super League Triathlon. He finished 9th, so another top 10 to add to his resume last week, and he's currently sitting in 5th position. And a really interesting story for them, obviously coming from Israel. His brother was also an Olympic triathlete. His dad was an Olympic marathon runner, and there's only been 3 Israeli Olympic triathletes, and in his family there's 2 of them. So quite the family legacy, the endurance racing for Shachar Sagiv. Debuted last year, he had top 10s in London and Munich and finished 12th overall. He had a top 10 last weekend, and now he's in a top 5 position, but it's a big gap to cover.
That's a
to
steep
get to
hill.
These guys.
That's a steep hill. It doesn't look like it on screen, but it just bites.
Do you know what? Jonny Brownlee's feeling good.
Yeah, he does. He looks good.
Yeah, he really, really does.
Kenji looks like he's starting to run out of steam a little bit, but maybe that's because he's got Jonny running behind him.
He's doing the little things right, Kenji. Quick transitions, putting himself in the play, knowing that we've got to get through 2 laps.
Valachel has the short shoot we can see now, so that's going to be really interesting come the final
who the other one
leg.
is, whether Hayden gets it for the Sharks. And it is Hayden Wilde. So this swim is important with Kenji, with Vasco Valasa and Hayden Wilde both having the short shoes. Kenji Nina and Jonathan Brownlee need a massive swim. Kenji's done everything he needs to do by staying with this group. We saw him in that second swim and the first swim, best of this group in the water. We need to make sure he gets around Hayden Wilde and isolates Vasco Valasa to set up this run.
So Jonny Brownlee actually dropped a chain off the rear derailleur. That's what happened in the first stage.
Okay.
Managed to put it back on, got back. Bike's completely fine, and he looks like Jonny Brownlee as we remember Jonny Brownlee. You know, a guy who had 42 consecutive podiums in World Triathlon racing, and that was a decade ago now, but
What
the
a
kind of guy
talent.
that you expect.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an incredible record, like an
career.
incredible record, a mind-blowing record, and here he is running like he does, up on the toes, right behind. And what's happened to...
Velasquez at the back there.
Velasquez, there he
really
is.
moved
Yep.
through that transition. When he hit the black carpet, he put a little acceleration in. That dead turn accelerated out of it, and the gap opened up. He felt some fatigue in Kenji Nina, who's staying with Brownlee and Velasquez, but Hayden realising the swim not there, needs that margin of error.
All right, as Hayden Wild continues to lead from the front, we go down and hear from his team manager, Michelle Dillon, with Vicky.
Michelle, manager of the Sharks, manager of Hayden Wild, you've given him the short shoot. It seems like the obvious choice right now.
Yeah, we were contemplating, like, we won 2 short shoots, so we were like, should we give it to Taylor or should we give it to Hayden? But we had a little meeting beforehand, and he said if I didn't look that comfortable out in front, to perhaps give it to him if we got one. And I just have a feeling, because we've got another swim coming up, I just want to make sure he's comfortable and he's safe, and so we just give it to him just in case. We want him to win, obviously.
Yeah, I think that gives him the best possible chance. Thanks, Michelle.
No worries at all.
So at the moment, as it stands, if it finished like this, Hayden Wild would carry a 5 championship point lead into Malibu, because Matt Hauser at the moment is currently in 5th position, and so those 5 points would be incredibly important. Brownlee leads that group of 3, but Hayden Wild's had a run here.
And there's Matt Hauser distancing
All
himself
by
from the group
himself.
behind, but he knows he has a big swim.
I think what you have to remember is some athletes will recover differently to others. And, you know, it was only just a week ago that they were racing so hard in London. They've had a bit of travel and stuff. You know, they've relaxed here in Munich. But, you know, he could perhaps have a bit of fatigue from travel, from racing. But Hayden Wild he looks like he's hardly breathing. He looks so relaxed on this run, but a sensible move.
He knows that he's got to gap these guys now, because he has a 15-second slower swim than all 3 of those men.
Yes.
And that's not taking into account Matt Hauser behind, but the swim gaps from these 4 in stage 2, Nina was a 3:37, Brownlee was a 3:40, Velasquez was a 3:45, Wild was a 3:51, so it's 14 seconds between Nina and Wild in that one. He needs to go into the water with that lead.
And interesting, both Wild and Velasquez have put themselves in front of the 2 better swimmers. Again, the smart move to do. They have to swim around them to gap them.
Yeah, Velasquez will go into the water second.
Hauser 12 seconds back, Home another 2 seconds behind him. Big gaps forming now at the back of the field.
I'm disappointed with the lack of slipping and falling over on that. I was hoping for more this weekend. Everyone seems to have worked it out. As Wild leads into the last swim of the day. So much action, and we hope you have been here with us to ride through it all. Georgia Taylor-Brown, so good. Just so good, and so composed in the women's race. And now we arrive at the, let me get this right, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16th discipline of the day, the swim.
And Velasquez swimming very, very well.
Exactly, I was going to say, he's the one we wouldn't expect to see pulling Brownlee. And then Nina up, but it's certainly Velasquez from Portugal doing all the work at the moment on the swim.
Close that gap.
He needs to get on Johnny's feet here. Is that Jonny in 3rd position?
Johnny's
it is.
right on Vasco's feet.
Yeah.
And Kenji looking for his own line, trying to get himself some distance. You see Matt Hauser head down and knows that if he can swim across to this group, he's in the hunt to win the race. This is the biggest swim of the day for Matt Hauser. It's all or nothing.
I don't think he's got the run.
He's got the swim.
Potentially. He's definitely got the swim to get up to these guys, maybe. But then the bike run of Hayden Wild has just been superb. So I'd say Hot Wild is in the box seat here. Notwithstanding what Velasquez, who is now swimming up onto the hip of Wild,
Hauser will get
can do.
onto this group. Hauser is going to swim onto the back of this group. You can see the fatigue. So the great swimmers, the natural swimmers, when the fatigue comes in that 2nd and 3rd swim, their technique, their form allows them to swim back up. And it's a massive advantage. These learned swimmers, per se, they didn't grow up in the swimming pool, find it a little bit more difficult swimming under fatigue.
And it's interesting watching Kenji now. Is he playing it sensible here and saying, you know what, I need to save my legs, and I'm going to be battling it out for a podium position. I'm not going to swim like I did in the 2nd leg. I'm just going to cruise on Jonny Brownlee's feet and save some energy.
It looks like it. He realises he's not going to get away. It's safer to be together. But the fact that there's no pace with Vasco Velasquez, and now the 2 weaker swimmers of this group leading this swim have put Matt Hauser back into play here. I think Kenji thought he probably had enough, and as did Jonny, on Matty Hauser. But Hauser will be in this group by the end of this swim, and this whole game has changed.
Look at Velasquez.
All right.
That is a phenomenal swim.
It is a race in 5 now. We're going to head down to all the team managers, I think, with Vicky Holland.
Yeah, I've got all the team managers here with me. It's looking like a bit of a 5-way battle. I want to know who's going to win and why.
Well, it has to be Hayden Wild. He's literally warming up. He's like a diesel engine. He's going to let go soon. He's going to set those turbos in.
My heart says Maddie Hauser. He's going to swim back on, and he's going to put last sweep behind him.
Clear, Boscoville also has a lot of catching up to do, and he has the short shoot today.
Well, definitely not the other Jonny Brownlee, like just getting up closer to the front. So that's a Jonny. Kenji.
No explanation necessary. Thank you, guys.
Oh, he's getting really excited now. Gee, that is a brave interview to do with the characters that were just put in that little rainbow line up there, and all of them were insanely biased, which is exactly what we want to hear from our team managers as Vasco Velasa now leads this swim.
And Hauser gets on the back and takes a bit of a break. Massive swim by Matt Hauser to put himself in the game. That's the advantage of having such powerful swims in the enduro format. He's ready to go around Hayden Wild, who entered the water first and will come out fifth.
That's a huge swim from Matt Hauser, who actually only posted in the top 2 stages the 9th fastest swim. The fastest swim, and the points were taken by Taylor Reid from Jamie Riddle and Chase McQueen, so the 2 sharks in the top 3. The bike laps were taken by Vasco Velasa, Shachar Sagib and Hayden Wild, and the run points was taken by Vasco Velasa again, Hayden Wild and Jonny Brownlee. So points shared across teams there, and in that ongoing swim battle in the men, the Sharks take, I guess, the bragging rights in.
Kenji's been so strong in transition all day for the Scorpions. He's got to be quick here.
He's out too.
Last out.
Is he going to get? It's difficult when you're in that position, and
if he could get Velasa and get a little gap here. I got Hayden Wild there.
Wild in the middle. Now Wild decides to mount his bike before the line, and Brownlee goes around the inside and mounts after, and off goes Wild. Hauser there on the back. So
Reid as well, big swim just off the back of Matt Hauser.
I don't mind Velasa for this, honestly. The more the race goes on, the more I think this could be something that
Brownlee isolated.
Johnny didn't have a good transition.
No.
He really didn't. He's got to work really hard now to get back in, because if these three have got any idea that they've dropped Hauser and Brownlee, okay, it's only a couple of seconds or 2, but on this course it can mean a whole lot.
I think Hayden Wild will have a look. Vasco Velasa is the exact athlete you want in the breakaway. He will go straight to the front and push. Hayden Wild will see the little danger of Jonathan Brownlee off the back. And Matty Hauser has to put his head down on this lap, close the gap, otherwise it'll be a group of 3.
Has he got it in him?
Hauser?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past him. With Velasa on the front pushing.
Velasa is like a Christian Blumenfeld of a biker. He'll just put his head down and just give maximum attack, maximum watts to drag whoever is with him. He won't ask for anyone else to help him off the front. His stickers are stuck out like a couple of ears on the helmet.
Accelerate. We need Hayden Wild to move around. If that group to stay away, I think Vasco will do this lap, and Hayden, he's had a look back, he sees the gap is there. It's whether he is prepared to capitalise and work with the group of 3 to keep them off the back, or knows he has a short shoot, he's going to back his run to win the day.
Well, Hayden Wild knows it'll take, if he can just keep Hauser away, he's going to take the championship lead in, but he's not the kind of guy who's going to think in championship terms when there's a race win on the line.
I don't know if
Hauser comes back.
I don't know if it's because Brownlee's in there, but I'm on the edge of my seat here. It's coming down.
That's what you're doing.
I can't
you're very
sit still.
fidgety. What's going on? I'm glad there's not a camera in here. And he can't sit still over here.
And I haven't even had a coffee for about 6 hours. But watching Brownlee, he is tentative on the wet, slippery parts, and I think the others will take advantage of that. They'll be aware of the fact that,
He's still in touch, though.
He is very much still in touch, but I can see this coming down to a very fast last mile now with the on the run. I don't think we're going to see any breaks. Will we see... Do you think Wild having a bit of a dig, or he knows he's so strong on the run, doesn't he?
Yeah, Velasa and Wild have the short shoots. The difficult thing for Jonny Brownlee, it's the worst place to be in a group of this size. This concertina effect happens on those dead turns where the athlete at the front of Velasa is pushing out of the turn and accelerating where you're at your slowest pace, and you have to really work to get back on. It's the spikes in power that may hurt his run. But he can also play it. If you watch Jonny, he doesn't rush through the corners. He comes onto the back of the group and doesn't try and fight to hold the wheel out of these turns.
A couple of big names have fallen back down. Richard Murray in 14th position right now, 43 seconds in arrears. Tyler Mislachuk a minute down.
Yeah.
He finished 4th last week. Now, Mizicek, he had a crash yesterday too, so sometimes it just gets in your head when there's water on the ground, and he's probably been a little bit more cautious getting around this one, but he's going to be given a 15th position for his troubles. Riddle's fallen way back down as well to 16th, and Ryan Fisher's last of all at 80 seconds back for the Scorpions, but there's no one after this top 5. Taylor Reid's all by himself, 8 seconds back from these guys, with Dan Dixon, who set one of the fastest bike laps out there, having a pretty good race too in 7th from Emil Holm from the Eagles, so that Eagles pairing ahead of Chase McQueen and Valentine Wernz, who figured in the early stages of this race. As they head around the Olympiapark corner once again, and it's Velasa who has led this entire bike lap. Nina, who's still sticking around.
I love the way Velasa races. He just always puts himself in the action. He's always pushing the pace. He doesn't care what's happening behind him. He's not really... He is tactical, but he's not really worried about tactics ever. Oh, there's Ryan Fisher.
First elimination. We'd had plenty of eliminations in the women's by this, but Ryan Fisher, the Australian who came in for Vincent Lewis, is eliminated first. Chris Perham also in danger, as is Panagiotis Bitidos, but they've got a little bit, they've got about 20 seconds still before they see the elimination flag, so they should finish this race. But it is going to be, do not go anywhere, because this run is going to be incredible. From Portugal, from Japan, from New Zealand, from Australia and from Great Britain, 5 of the best short course triathletes in the world, nothing between them whatsoever. 40 minutes into this race, with only another lap on the bike and then a 1.6 kilometre run for all of the money and the championship points in the second of 3 huge weekends of racing. Next weekend is Malibu, and then a couple of weeks break to Toulouse, and we finish in Neom on the weekend of the 28th and 29th of October.
It's going to be all about the transition here, isn't it? You know, Jonny Brownlee's got to move himself up. He's got to find some confidence to come through the field, because I think this run is going to be, or this race is going to be won and lost in the final transition. And let's not forget, there's a couple of short shoots.
I wonder where they take the short shoots. If you're Vasco Velasa or you're Hayden Wild, do you take it out of transition?
As soon as you cross the mountain line, the first time you have to take it.
Yeah.
There's no question you can't take it, because you actually,
exactly.
with the position of the short shoot, you actually pass it 3 times.
You do.
But it was confirmed in the athlete briefing that they must take it immediately after transitioning. So there'll be plenty of time for the other athletes to run up to them, if that is indeed the case. So the full 1.6 kilometres will come after the short shoot is taken, which will be taken, as you can see on the bottom left of your screen, by our championship leader, Hayden Wild, and Vasco Velasa, who will rocket up the standings wherever he finishes in this. Hopefully for him and for the Portuguese and Rhinos fans, it will be on the podium. So into transition they come, and it's Velasa who makes a mistake and somehow catches it. That was incredible that he managed to catch that bike. Well.
Kenji again, fast through transition, Kenji
Nina, Brownlee's quick too. But all 3 of those men won't take it. Wild will and Velasa will, and they go back to the front. 1.6 kilometres to go. All the teams are represented in this finish. 5 different nationalities, 5 different teams, and they're led by the Falcon, Hayden Wild, who did it last week. Can he do it again? He's got an immense run. Velasa second. Houser's found his way back from obscurity into 3rd.
He looks invincible.
Here's the replay. Velasa loses his bike, catches his bike.
Amazing.
What skill.
One day, a different bike. This day, throws the bike and catches it.
Matt Hauser looking fantastic. What a race from Matt. Hayden Wild just always looks comfortable. He's very, very focused. He had that short shoot, but their transitions didn't give the benefit of the short shoot that it could have given. They were slowest in transition, both Vasco and Hayden, and that gap has been able to be closed by Matt Hauser because of a tardy transition.
So this is where Johnny's got to work hard up the hill here, because I think it's on...
I think that Vasco Velasa dropped his helmet when his bike... We'll have to go back and look at that replay again, but if so, that'll be a 5-second penalty if he didn't put his helmet on his bike or in the box.
In the box.
So that is the rule. We'll find out on the next lap. He might be held for 5 seconds. We'll get confirmation on that. It's currently in 3rd position, and that opens things up. But Matty Hauser has put himself right behind Hayden Wild, and Jonny Brownlee is in danger of losing touch with this front group of 3. We're going to head down now to the black carpet again with about 1 kilometre to go. The Sharks are in control, so we speak to Michelle Dillon with Vicky Holland.
Michelle, Hayden was fantastic through transition and he's taken his short shoot, but already back with company. How are you feeling?
Very nervous because we told him he had to take his short shoot immediately, but he has got really good company with Matt Hauser and Vasco Velaka. And look, I think Vasco could be the danger here, but I'm just, fingers crossed, come on. The guy's a champion. I think he could win, but he's got some danger with him, so we are a little bit sitting on the edge of our seat right now.
Thanks, Michelle.
So no penalty at that stage for Velasa, who would have been stopped there.
He must be in the...
But he wasn't, so he must have got it in the box, picked it up in the back of shot, which is great for us because we want to see this. So amazing from Matty Hauser to get himself back into contention, you have to say. He was 14 seconds down at the end of stage 2, and now he is leading this race. So it's the Australian up against the Kiwi and Annie Emerson, who is extremely biased towards Great Britain and the Cheetahs. Hasn't said a word for 5 minutes.
I've been silenced, haven't I? And I tell you why I've been silenced, because we watched Matty Hauser on that last round on the run, and we thought that he was out of running, and he's come back in here, and he's absolutely sticking it to Wild. And Velasa here, this is phenomenal running from Matt Hauser, who looked dead and buried 15 minutes ago.
Last year, isn't it? Jersey last year when Hayden Wild went out of transition on the last run too fast, and both Jonathan Brownlee and Alex Yee caught him.
Velasa's got Wild too now. And now it looks like he looked so composed 800 metres ago, and now he looks under pressure, Hayden Wild.
The fatigue of the enduro.
Velasa, this could be, you know, last time I think about Velasa in second, it was the 2020 World Titles with that in Hamburg with that 11-day lead-up, and Vasco Velasa was the vice world champion, and now he's in second position again, this time behind Matt Hauser, who's putting down one of the great runs after taking an unfair penalty of about 25 to 30 seconds last week and coming back to second position. The Australian looks like he could run away with this one. Again, coming back from a significant deficit. The run was where he spent all his matches. He got overrun by Hayden Wild last time out. Velasa is going to gap Hayden Wild and put him back into third. So, could we have a new championship leader with Velasa in between Hauser and Wild? I think we will, and Matt Hauser will take the lead into Malibu. The Australian, the Eagle, Matt Hauser, denied last week, takes it this week. Matt Hauser is your Munich champion. What an effort. Vasco Velasa picks up second for the Rhinos, and Hayden Wild this time did not have the run. Brownlee finishes in fourth, and Kenji Nina will hold on to fifth. So the full rainbow of team colours in the top 5, and that is the second week in a row of an incredible performance from Matt Hauser. Taylor Reid, all by himself for the last couple of disciplines, makes it 2 Sharks in the top 6. Emil Holm, fantastic effort from Dan Dixon to pick up 7th and 8th, and they're incredibly important team points for them. And I think that's Chase McQueen in the back of shot, as the gaps between each of these athletes, the pace right on. McQueen finishes ahead of Max Stapley, and then 3 cheaters in a row. Just on the bubble of 10th with Shachar Sagiv, who dropped from 5th to 11th after the second set of swim, bike and run. Stapley finishes 12th. Richard Murray crosses the line, so all the cheaters finish in the top 13. Well, the pace was right on at the front, wasn't it? Sergio Baxter, he won't be happy with that after finishing 6th last week. He finishes 85 seconds in arrears in 14th position. But what a race from Matt Hauser. That was truly incredible once again. This is Matt Hauser's year. He's shown that again and again, and we're about to hear from our winner down on the black carpet with Vicky Holland.
Matt Hauser, second last week in London, first this week in Munich. You must be delighted.
Oh, it certainly wasn't pretty out there. I was battling some demons, especially on that second bike. I stuffed up the mountain, was chasing the rest of the way, but you said to me, Vix, as I entered the water for the last swim, big last swim, Matty, and I brought home 3 eagles.
That big last swim absolutely brought you back into the race. Did you have to go really deep there?
Not too much, actually. I just stayed in control, stayed calm, controlled my breathing, got onto the back, and I just knew I had to sit there on the bike. Vasco pushed us all the way, and then on that last run, I was like all or nothing. You know, 1 mile, all out, and yeah, I managed to use the downhills. My long legs run out, and whew, it's good to be back home, eh?
It's really great to see you on top of the podium. We look forward to seeing you next week in Malibu. Have you got any idea what that's going to hold for you?
More pain, I think. That's one word, pain and hurt. But yeah, love Malibu. Great to be back in the surf. Hopefully catch a few body waves. And
good luck next week, Matthew.
Cheers.
Vasco Valacha, second place here today. You must be delighted with that.
Of course, I'm very happy with the result today. After last weekend, when things really did not go my way, after the race, I kind of just like, let's take the positive things, learn as much as I can from the mistakes last weekend, and well, today everything went really well. Really happy to be in the front with the guys. I mean, Hayden, Jonny, Matthew was super strong. Of course, Matthew with the win got no weak spots at the moment. He's a super strong swimmer, a strong biker, very good runner. I mean, really happy to be in the front racing against these guys.
And do you think being awarded that short shoot played a part in you being able to get that second place today?
Oh, of course. I mean, I think it was Valentin from my team who got the short shoot, so big shout out to him for doing the work for the team, and in the end, Ronnie gave me the short shoot, and I think mentally having the boost of like, I'm in the front, I got the short shoot, I really got a chance, I got to fight for it when the team did such a good job giving me the short shoot, so that definitely gave me a boost mentally to fight for the podium.
Well done today, and we look forward to seeing you next week in Malibu.
Thanks so much.
Hello there, third place today. You look like you've put in a big shift. How are you feeling?
Yeah, no, I actually felt like I just got beaten by the other guys out there today. Like, I just didn't have the gears I had in London. I felt a bit flat, but those boys rode and swam amazingly. I just didn't have it there today, but it was fantastic to see them battle all the way, and yeah, it was a close competition at the end.
You put yourself right at the front all day long, and you were the one pushing the pace, trying to whittle down that group. Was that a tactic to try and give yourself some space?
Yeah, at the start, like on the swim, didn't feel that good. So I was like, well, I feel pretty confident on the bike. So yeah, get some space on the bike, get my own lines, which was really good on the run. I just wanted my own space. And honestly, like, yeah, I felt like I was probably running the exact same splits every single round. I just didn't have the other gear on the last one like the other boys. And yeah, no, it is what it is. And the points are so close. So it's just another day, and we'll fight another day in Malibu.
Yeah, Malibu next weekend. Are you looking forward to that format?
100%, yeah. I love going to Malibu with the surf, a technical course once again. So looking forward to going over there and hopefully yeah, getting back on the top.
Wish you all the best, Hayden.
Let's look back at how the stage or the race played out. They all had a slip off the pontoon. Taylor Reid was leading from the front. There was Valentin Wernz picking up that incredibly important short shoot for Vasco Valacha in the end. Kenji Nina, that was about the time when we said, gee, I think he's going too hard, but then he just continued to stick around. The Sharks picked up a short shoot as well. And then the sun came out here in Munich, and it came out and shone down on an incredible finish where 5 men, including a man who threw his bike and caught it again, Vasco Valacha, picked up the short shoot, as did Wild. It wasn't enough, though. It was enough for the minor placings, but not enough to take the top spot from Matt Hauser, who finishes 4 seconds in the end ahead of Valacha and Wild. Brownlee held on for 4th from Nina, who just pushed and pushed all day. Taylor Reid with a lonely 6th. He'll be very happy with that, though. By far his best result in Super League racing. And the same for Emil Holm and Dan Dixon. Chase McQueen and Valentin Wernz took out the top 10, but supreme Chris McCormack from Matt Hauser.
I was just calculating the points there. Matt Hauser looked magnificent. As he said, he struggled a little bit in that first opening race. He never let himself get out of the game. And with that massive swim, put himself in the action. And he's such a winner. When you give Matt Hauser a sniff of the win, he delivers, and he did that today, and will be tough to beat for the rest of this series.
Well, it's all about the leaderboard. We're not going to rely on Macca's gigantic fingers to count it. We're going to look at this instead. And Maddie Hauser and Hayden Wild separated by 1 point as we head to Malibu, the Australian and the Kiwi. That is the difference there between the Australian and Kiwi flags, if you don't know. Jonny Brownlee, 5 points back. Nina rockets up into 4th. Vilasa, after his 11th, really jumps up the leaderboard 2 into the top 5. And then Reid and McQueen, a pair of Sharks there. So 3 Sharks in the top 7. Alex Yee, well, he's not going to be seen for the rest of the series, so he's going to eventually drop all the way down and out of the top 10. Shachaar Sagievicius can be relied on to stick around in 10th position. And Tyler Mislachuk is also on 13th and equals 7th after a disappointing result for him. We're going to see the team points as well, and I'm going to reveal it to 2 of our managers who are here, and it is tight at the top after the Scorpions leaked a lot of points. They were about 55 points up after the women's race. 44 of those coming from Georgia Taylor-Brown and Cassandra Beaugrand. The Sharks up into 2nd, so all to play for now for that $300,000. The Rhinos and the Eagles are equal, and the Cheetahs, who started in 5th, went to 3rd after the women's, and now gone back down. And how do you feel, Annie?
No, I feel great. Listen, you know, we're still really close to the bronze medal position. All to play for in Malibu.
All to play for. That's what you say when you're coming last. 100%. There you go. It's very tight, and we've got another weekend's racing coming up.
Tim, first off, let's address Matt Hauser, the man of the moment. Great day from him.
Who needs a short shoot, hey? You know, I mean, it didn't start the best for him. He wasn't in the position, you know, how the race was going to unfold. It didn't, but he thought on his feet, and that last swim was phenomenal. 20 seconds quicker than Hayden Wild. He swam himself and raced himself into the race. And on that run, he attacked hard, no short shoot, so massive, massive respect. I'm so happy for the fella.
And on top of that, he's now leading the overall standings as well. So a brilliant 2 weeks from Matt Hauser. And for the Eagles, you're now up into joint 3rd. You must be delighted with that too.
I'm really delighted. We had an unlucky last week with the women, with only 1 finishing. But I think also Emil and Dan, they did really well. Jamie Riddle got some swim points for us. They really came together as a team. You could see on their faces everyone was working hard. These were brutal conditions with the weather. And I think the pressure really pushed everyone's performances up. I know we wanted to get those Sharks in the swim, but they got it. So tip of the hat to the Sharks. But Maddie Hauser, I mean, what a performance.
And quickly, without your Eagles hat on, give us a little bit of an overview on your standout moments from today.
Georgia Taylor-Brown, she dominated today. I mean, you know, last week she said she was flat from altitude, but I'm sure at the back of her mind she wasn't 100% sure of that. But the way she executed was just perfectly. It was great to see the Rhinos and the Sharks get the short shoot, and that played into their advantage, it really did. But yeah, Georgia Taylor-Brown, standout performance.
And on the men, you're going to say Matt Hauser, I'm sure.
It's got to be Hollywood Matt, and he's going to America, so, you know, he's coming home. So, yeah, I mean, when he looks back at that, to beat the calibre of those guys without a short shoot, Maddie Hauser is in this series. He really is.
Thanks so much, Tim.
It's time now for the medal ceremony for the men's race, and what a fantastic men's race it was. As we head down now to the black carpet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the medal presentation for the men's race. Please welcome the medalists.
Hayden Wild, Vasco Vilasa and our champion, and plenty of banter between these three. There's Leonid Boguslavsky, the chairman and co-founder of Super League Triathlon, alongside Chris McCormack and Michael Dolst, and himself a qualifier this year for the Ironman World Championships in Kona in the 70 to 74 age group, and by all accounts he is in supreme nick, coached by Tim Don amongst others. And Hayden Wild picks up 3rd. He won't be happy with that. As he said, he just didn't quite have the gears that he had last week, and there is no margin for error in Super League Triathlon racing, and he then hands over the lead of the series to Hauser, who will take all the momentum into this one. And speaking of momentum, this guy will have plenty after putting up with so much last week to do it this week, and as he said, everything went perfectly. Congratulations to Vasco Vilasa. I keep asking Annie questions because she's got a biscuit in her mouth, and I want to see.
I was wondering what she was
I want to see what she was going to do.
Share that, Annie.
It's been a long day.
Just nodded at me. Just nodded at me. But let's move on to our champion from SLT Munich. We are going to see these three battle each other so many more times over the years, not just in Super League Triathlon Racing, but certainly, definitely in Super League Triathlon Racing. And at the front, Hauser and Wild, that's going to be a 5-race-long battle.
There's some of the youngest in the series, the three up there. So it's a changing of the guard. Jonny Brownlee just off the back there. But this is the future right here as we lead into Paris.
Champagne in the eyes, that's the price of victory. And might got a cork in the face there, I'm not 100% sure, but he's taking it like a champion. And also got a new nickname, Hollywood Matt.
Hollywood House.
What's that? Hollywood Hauser.
We call him, yeah.
That's much better. That's much better. All right, we're going to head back down to Vicky. We're really making Vicky work hard, and she's with Michael Gilliam, who will have enjoyed Kenji Nina finishing in the top 5.
MG Kenji Nina was 5th out of that top 5. We were hopeful for more, but you must still be pleased with his performance today.
Yeah, look, we had a little bit of an explosion, I think, on our side of the men's. We didn't really perform as well. I thought Tyler would be good, but Kenji came through. Most probably second bike ride, just a little too much gas, and that sort of emptied him for the rest of the race. He had to hang on. So, yeah, that's where we've come. I'm reasonably happy, or we are as a team reasonably happy.
Let's just recap your women again, because you came home with a victory and a ton of points, courtesy of all the girls in your team.
Yeah, well, once again, we sort of saw Cassandra roll off the course, and we thought, oh my goodness. But hang on a minute, we ended up picking up a lot of points. She got the fastest swim and the fastest run, so that sort of lifted us there. Emma Jeffcoat did really well on the bike, and we can't say nothing about Kat. She was fantastic. She was broken-hearted actually when they cut her off the course, but she'll be back for better and more.
And on top of all that, you are still leading the rankings.
Oh, my goodness.
You are still top as Scorpions.
You're kidding me.
You are still top of the leaderboard. You must be full of confidence going into Malibu next weekend.
Well, oh, my goodness, that's all I could say. Confidence. Yeah, well, look, it's a big part of the sport, confidence. So let's hope that confidence rubs off in the team.
And you've had 2 wins from 2 different females in the last few weeks. Are we going to see another one on top of the podium next week?
Year of the women. That's all I could say. It's the year of the women. We're going to keep doing that in the women's.
And what about one of the men?
I don't know about that. That's a good question. We've got to do some work.
All right. We'll leave you to give some team talks to the men, and we'll see you next week in Malibu.
Malibu, Malibu, Malibu.
99% of that was a fantastic interview. It was a bit of a weird ending, but that doesn't matter as Matt Hauser does some interviews, and that's part of being a champion, I suppose, as he takes 1 minute, he takes 1 point, into the next race, which is on the 17th, which is next weekend in Malibu, and then we've got a couple of weeks break for Toulouse, and then a nice big break to get everyone ready for what will be a really interesting and different race in Neom. We'll get your guys' final thoughts. Annie, I mean, standout performance from you today. Is it Georgia Taylor-Brown or is it Matt Hauser?
I think it's Matt. No, it has to be Matt Hauser. I mean, GTB was absolutely brilliant, but she just marched from start to finish. There was no looking back. But for Hauser, when we said, no, he's out of this race, you know, to come back, he sort of crept back on us. And he just showed such maturity. And the fact that he said he was playing with the demons, they were going around in his head, he managed to put them to bed and stomp home with a win.
Yeah, I agree. Matty Hauser, redemption from last week after that disappointment. Incredible last swim to put himself in the action, and to not only put himself back in the action, to have the courage to go after the win and deliver unbelievable performance. And I'm going to do a shout out to Kenji Nina. What a day's racing. Shows that transitions matter, and he was magnificent today for the Scorpions.
Good to see Jonny Brownlee up the pointy end of racing again after a difficult 6 months. Plenty of people with some work to do as well. Let's see what Tyler Mislichuk can do when we get to Malibu. And, of course, we won't see Cassandra Beaugrand, but there is plenty to enjoy across the course of the rest of the SLT season. That's right, there is so much left to enjoy, but that wraps us up from here in Munich. On behalf of Annie Emerson, Chris McCormack, Vicky Holland, and the rest of the team managers and teams, we hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you next week in Malibu.